Appalachian Podcast. We are here downtown Rocky Mount for the Franklin County Come Home to Christmas. Like we said we were going to do. We didn't screw it up. No mic problems, no issues. We didn't get too drunk to figure it out before we got here. I did lose Philip's key for about 20 minutes.
Panic.
Fortunately, Don and Kelly showed up and helped me find it eventually.
Philip didn't know that.
He didn't, and unless he listens to this show, he won't know about it. So it's been a heck of a time, Simon. I'm glad you're here today. I wanted to, I kind of want to start it off since we're here in the World Cup. I wanted to fire off some questions for you.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Because you are the co-host. And, for anybody that might not know, when they tune into this show and they think an Appalachian podcast, they all of a sudden hear a wanker show up. And what's going on?
And a wanker shows up. It's not even my game, mate.
Well, I know. Well, either way.
And by the way, it is football.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I think he's accusing me of heavy breathing over here.
I think he was.
I don't know if that was you.
I was getting slightly. I mean, I'm not actually. It's a kid-friendly show, so I'm going to keep my comments very refrained right now. But yeah, baby.
Well, either way, it's interesting when people tune into the show and they'll listen back and hear some of Simon. But here lately, he's been the focal point. They're kind of, what in the world's he got to do with Appalachia? So I kind of developed a little rapid-fire question test to see how English he is. First off, I want to know, explain to everybody out here, mostly me, because maybe I'm just the only idiot, but why is it that what's the difference between England, the UK, and Great Britain? I don't understand it.
So, for goodness sake.
So let's fill us in real quick.
I feel like this is going to take longer than 10 minutes.
It shouldn't. I just need a quick
It shouldn't. There are a number of countries within the United Kingdom.
Okay, so United Kingdom's like made up of states like the United States. But they're countries.
The difference is they're countries.
Okay, but we should all be countries. The states should be their own countries, really.
I think if you look at that, we could have a podcast on that subject matter in its entirety.
I think so.
So you've got England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. That is the United Kingdom. Great Britain, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but to me Great Britain is Scotland, Wales, and England.
See, we're already confused.
I'm already confused, but I like confusing people. But the Great Britain thing was all about the British Isles. And there's the contentious matter of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And I'm very sympathetic to that cause because really, as an island, it should be united. And it's all about a Catholic Protestant disagreement that really it's asinine in how that has been exploited and it's just absolute madness. So I'm for a united Ireland, and I'm all for it. So I'm an Englishman, but I'm also British.
So it's kind of like the Sunnis and the Shia in Iraq fight, and it doesn't make a lot of sense really, but they do it either way. Catholics and Protestants,
pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, real quick, 3 quick questions to see whether you're Appalachian or English. Sweet tea or whatever the hell it is that y'all drink over there?
It certainly isn't sweet bloody tea, I can tell you that much.
All righty. Number 2.
I've been set up.
Fish and chips or a burger and fries?
Fish and chips, of course, for goodness sake.
All righty, France or Italy?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know, we've been at war with the French for centuries, and I saw no reason why we ever stopped. So I'm about the Italians.
Okay.
Bella.
Well, you failed the test because if you'll choose fish and chips over a burger and fry, I don't really. And then the disrespect for sweet tea, you might as well have just found yourself up in Pennsylvania, Appalachia, or New York, Appalachia, with that kind of answer.
But you buggers all threw it in the Boston Harbor. I mean, what a waste.
What about bangers and mash?
Well, that's my speciality. I mean, bangers and mash, bring it. I mean, that's where it's at. And fish and chips, if it's done properly, I haven't had proper fish and chips here yet. I just haven't had it. The only way I get proper fish and chips is when I cook it. and Billy's not really cracking a beer. He's getting on a phone just to rabbit to somebody else. How disrespectful is that? God save that king.
I mean, we can, while we're waiting, we can plan out that fish and chip dinner if you want to, real quick.
Oh, I'm all for it, mate. Listen, I love doing fish and chips. It's got to be done right. You've got to, when you put the fish and the beer batter all together and it comes out and you cook it right, you need to hear the crack when you flick it. Oh, yeah, come on.
Well, we're being joined here, Don Johnson, if you remember him from the
Miami Vice.
Paranormal podcast.
Not quite.
Also DJ Jack and Jeff Cessna. They were on the show
Where's
with
his
Kate
Ferrari?
Honeycutt. So everybody on here has been on the show before. Gentlemen, how y'all been doing?
Doing good.
Wonderful.
Good. How about yourself?
So sorry about that. I had to run off real quick, and apparently they said a bunch of cool stuff that that I pushed pause for. Nobody got to hear. So Don Johnson's back with us from the Paranormal episode, and
Miami Vice.
Yes, and DJ and Jeff. Gentlemen, how you been doing? It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Doing well.
You're no longer. Have you moved on?
Today was my last day.
Is that a celebration?
Yes and no.
With trepidation.
It's bittersweet.
Okay.
So now this man's a man in charge. He's calling all the shots these days, huh?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Uh-oh. What did I miss?
So we've been missing y'all boys here for. I wanted to get y'all back up and do a whole daggone episode, man. I tell you, go back and listen to the Caden Honeycutt episode if you haven't yet, because that kid is 19 years old, and he is a phenom, in my opinion. I have no doubts he's probably not going to be back with Nelson next year. He's going to be in a full-time NASCAR truck, correct?
I'm pretty sure. I think it's going to be full time. It's probably still up in the air a little bit. I know he wants to do a lot of races in the truck series, and then continue doing dirt stuff and late model racing.
Well, I tell you what, I try to pay attention as much as I could in the truck series, and I'm not sure, I don't know a lot about the team he was racing with, but I can't imagine they're a top team as far as equipment and things are concerned. But he had that truck running in the top 10, top 15, week in and week out. So what did you? I want to know from y'all too. What did y'all learn from him this year? Because you all are used to working with Bobby, and Bobby is a 3-time champion, one of the slickest drivers out there on the track. And then you get a young kid. I know we talked about this on the last show a little bit, but since then, what all have you learned? What did you learn from him this year?
I mean, his talent is just unreal compared to so many younger people that you see. It's just he's so far advanced for his age. He's on the right track for where he needs to go. He's very unique compared to a lot of the drivers that we've had, just for the fact that he has a dirt background. He can drive loose race cars. He just kind of opened our mind to a different style of the way we set up race cars, the way we go about it. But at the end of the day, he's going to go far for sure.
I thought so too. I paid attention a whole lot more after we had him on the show, and like I said, every time he got behind the wheel of a car, he was right up there in the top 5, top 10, and of course on the Cars Tour, top 5 every single week. But the trucks really impressed me. Where do you think he gets it from? Is it just natural with somebody like him? I mean, I know you got to work at it, but to be that young and that good, sometimes you got to think it might be God given to be able to. Because it's not just driving. There are so many factors that go into it that people can't understand. The feel of the car, how the track is running, whether the track is hot, whether it's cold. There's different conditions of weather. So people go out there and do it every single week.
Most people can be a race car driver, but he's like a real racer. He's fully dedicated. He's at the racetrack every weekend he can be. I know his dad raced. I don't know if much of his background, but starting out on dirt and just learning the car control, I guess he just figured out that he's got that talent, and he's really just coming into terms with everything still. I feel like anytime he gets into a car, he's going to be fast.
And he's humble. That's one thing I like about him, and that's one thing that's really surprised me about a lot of these young drivers we've had on the show. I know for the Lug Nuts podcast, for anybody that hasn't listened, usually during racing season, we have a show called D's Lug Nuts, and we go over and we talk to a lot of the younger drivers, and we've spoken with like Landon Pimbleton, and what a down-to-earth kid he is. I mean, to be 17 years old, 16 years old, still going to high school and have a Martinsville clock hanging up in your – I can't compare. Maybe he got a Martinsville clock sitting next to a Cardi B poster. I mean, I can't – How do you? I mean, I couldn't even. I'd need a wheelbarrow to walk around that high school with my balls if I won a Martinsville race at that age. But he's so humbled. He's such a good kid. Daniel Silvestri, we had him on the show. Same thing. Like these kids, they're not like other professional, because you get a lot of young kids in some sports. They just kind of seem like they've got it all figured out because they've had a little bit of success in their teen years.
Yeah.
Not even understanding there's so much more ahead of them. And they get kind of an inflated head. But all these kids, these race car drivers, these young ones are very humble. And Caden might be the most humbled one of them all, but yet he might be the best driver of them all. It's kind of one of those deals where he probably knows he's good, but he doesn't let that get the best of him. So,
Yeah.
For you guys to be able to have a chance to work with somebody like that could be winning NASCAR titles in 5 or 10 years. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
great memories you can tell your kids someday, if nothing else.
What I really like about him is he's got a lot of passion for it. He shows up to the racetrack. He wants to be first in practice. He wants to qualify first. He wants to win the race. And with that passion comes emotion. And I think as he ages and has more experience, he'll be able to put those emotions in check. I think that's the only thing really that's hindering him at this young age. But it doesn't negate the fact that he is very good at what he does. There's a lot of really good race car drivers, and to see him just really come out of nowhere last year and be as good as he is, it's pretty unbelievable.
Maybe a bit of maturity is going to give him some of that tenacity, and that's maybe what you get when you mature into this sport, is having the tenacity, because he's got the drive. I mean, I saw that when I met him. I'm just like, wow, this is one landed individual.
Well, he's definitely, because for the longest time, he was flying in from Texas every single week to make these races. I mean, most of these guys, they live around the tracks. They can be there in a few hours. He was having to fly in every week, then fly back home, and he's running dirt races back in Texas. And then I think he's finally moved back east for good now. But, that just speaks to your comment about his dedication to have that kind of drive at that young of an age, man. It's mighty impressive. And
you're seeing a lot of these younger kids now. I mean, so you're saying basically he knows what the car is doing by the seat of his butt. And that's the big thing. That's a talent. Some people you can't even teach that to. So to have that kind of ability to know, and especially being on dirt, he knows where that car is going to go by the time it's there. He's already caught it and doing what he's got to do.
And Don, you watch a lot of racing. You ever paid attention to Caden too much?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen him. Yep.
It's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see him getting a modified at some point in time. But
There
I think
you
right
go.
now that's probably not in his purview. So, maybe at some point in time. But
I don't know. I think you take him and put him on some extra wide tires, and I think he'll do something.
Yeah, you get that grip, and he's really going to want to try it out.
So since we had y'all on here last year, before we get y'all out of here, because I got to run and watch my daughter dance here in a minute. What's the most fun y'all had this entire year?
That's a challenge.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd probably say North Wilkesboro.
Really?
To be
Absolutely.
honest.
That was an amazing. I would have to say, that would probably be what I.
That was the most
for me.
spectacular thing I think I've ever seen for a late model stock race.
The entire and I thought it would be good because we went down for the modified race. The entire front stretch was jam packed. I mean, sold out. And then when you look at it for the late models, all that and the damn turns was completely like.
Oh, it was unreal. I mean, when we got there on practice day, I was actually running behind, and Jeff called me, and he's like, you won't believe it when you get here, and we pull in, and there's probably 500 people standing for sign-in. And
Really?
None of them work on race cars.
Just ready to get in there.
Ready to go see Dale Jr.
He made the difference. And hopefully, is it rumor, has he did it yet? Did he purchase a Cars Tour, or is that just a rumor, or rumors?
No idea.
Rumor as of now.
Well, if he ends up purchasing a Cars Tour, you're going to see a whole different ball game. Mainly because each week he will probably find a way to get some kind of big name into that field that's going to draw a crowd each and every week. That's the thing about Wilkesboro. Everybody came to see him. Probably going to see maybe Harvick jumping in some of them cars. Even for the Martinsville modified race, you had Corey LaJoy now. Granted, he about pissed off a bunch of Yankees and might have got his ass whooped all the way back down to Carolina if what's his name hadn't ended up winning the title because he took him out. But, it's that kind of stuff, man. It makes it really exciting because it really shows you that a lot of these guys that don't race in the big times, man, they can hang up there with the big guys all day long when you put them on the same level. A lot of times it's all about the break you get. You know what I mean? It's just...
Did I send you the article where Harvick's building a pro late model?
No, I hadn't read that yet.
Yeah, that's going to be something to watch.
It's actually a late model stock.
Is it?
Really?
Yeah, it's just a late model stock.
It is.
So he might be on a tour next year. Or not him, maybe his car, but...
It's possible. I'm sure they're going to run some races.
You would think so, at least some of the bigger ones. And, of course, now you got Bobby Labonte has moved over to Sadler and Senator racing. That's going to be a heck of a combo. Like, I'm really excited about next year. I'm disappointed the cars is not coming back to Callaway, but you can't win them all. And I think they'll be back in a couple years. Hopefully some things can happen to make a difference. But, well, gentlemen, I'm going to get off here and go watch my daughter dance real quick and then come back and finish this night off.
You going to be dancing with her? I mean,
I don't have enough liquor in me quite yet, but I'll probably be over there dancing a little bit.
It can happen.
Good deal. I'm going
So,
to meet
DJ and Jeff, I'm glad y'all
social
stopped by here. I'm glad I got a
absolutely.
chance to see y'all. We'll get
We need
y'all
to
back
do it
on.
again.
Yeah, we'll get y'all back on at the cabin one day, and we'll drink a little bit of liquor for
Oh,
an
yeah.
hour or two.
Hey, I want to fire off that cannon.
Oh, yeah. Not
Absolutely.
a problem. It'll be fired off at the Callaway Parade.
Y'all need to
All
come
right.
up to the 4th of July party. We invited them last year, but they neglected to show up. They were probably exhausted and tired. But
Yeah, we had 2 people working. Just
Yeah.
2 people at the racetrack, so we were done the next day.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Did
blame you
nothing.
one bit.
We would have finished you off on July 3rd.
Yeah, I guarantee it. That's
It
what I was
wasn't taking
afraid of.
much to finish us off.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause it right there. Go back and listen to that episode with Caden Honeycutt, a phenom race car driver, and then DJ Jack and Jeff Cessna, 2 phenomenal guys, local guys, work for Nelson Motorsports. And y'all just let Barry know I'm coming down there looking for a minivan here soon, so I expect a deal. And y'all boys take it easy and have a Merry Christmas.
You too,
Yo
buddy.
ho ho.
All right, now we're being joined by Taylor Gunter, and a lot of people around here might not know her because she's from Tazewell County, like my wife is, and
Best place on earth.
Exactly, it's a phenomenal place.
Sounds like another foreigner.
But yes, well, Appalachian foreigner. Now, the crazy thing about this, Simon, from Tazewell County, I've always had a weird kinship with Tazewell County. I never even knew it before I even met my wife. And Taylor was part of that because she dates back to the Amos days, because I got a good story about that.
And Amos isn't here to defend himself.
He's not. So when I went to
Keep
college,
it child friendly, Billy.
Oh, it's going to be child friendly. When I went to Emory and Henry, the first college I went to back in 2000 when I graduated, I was there for a couple years before I went overseas. When I got back from basic training, they had forgot to save us some rooms. The colleges, rooms go by seniority down there. So the older you get in school, the higher choice you get into what room. Because there, it's not like everything's a dorm room. A lot of the dorms are old houses they've converted. So some are bigger, some are smaller, some are better located. So the upperclassmen get to pick. Well, they didn't bother to give us an opportunity. We didn't get to sign up because we were in basic training. So when we get back, they just opened up the downstairs of the freshman dorms for us.
Oh, no.
And they were some of the biggest rooms on campus. They were right next to everything. And our
The bar?
No. Well, actually, yes. The only bar in town was right across the road from us.
How convenient.
Yeah. So at the time, her future husband was our suite mate. So it was me and my buddy David and her husband and Stephen and Justin Gilbert. And, so we do that for that semester. At the end of the semester, I left school because I kind of figured we were going overseas. We go over to Iraq. And we come back, I decided to change schools. And I went to Radford. So I moved up to Radford. Hunter's Ridge, 700H, she lived above us.
700L.
Yep. So, and unbeknownst to me, they got married later in life. So I was her husband's suite mate, and never knew there was a connection or anything. But I remember partying there at one time. You might have not heard this story. It's been on the show, but we had about 180 people crammed into a small 4-bedroom apartment with about
Savages.
less than 900 square feet. And Amos will tell you that as a construction person, that he swore up and down that floor was going to give that day. I mean, it was buckling like this right here. Thank God the cops showed up to clear it out. When he cleared
That's the first time I've heard you say thank God for the cops showing up.
because we would have killed people.
That's the first.
People would have died. If they hadn't come and got people out of there, the floor was going to collapse. But it was funny because when the cops would ever show up at our apartment, Amos would go out on the balcony. He would jump up and reach up to their apartment and climb up there and go hide and get away from everything.
I'm not going to pass comment on this one at all.
Yeah. So then, of course, I found out they get married sometime later and they moved to Franklin County. And
No, the only reason he was able to do that because of the length of his arms and the length of his legs.
and he's part monkey too. So
Roger that.
So Taylor, why in the world did you move to Franklin County with us amazing people?
Well, because of you, Billy. It's like I knew Billy was here, right?
That does it for most people. How could you resist?
No, I moved back to Tazewell County after college, and I was in law enforcement, believe it or not. After
Billy's
these stories
favorite.
Billy might tell you. for about 8 years, and then my husband works for the railroad. So with all the changes the railroad was doing, I had to move up here closer to Roanoke, and this is where we ended up. So
In God's country.
it's not bad. I mean, it's a lot like home. I do love it here.
And you live kind of close to Simon on that. You live on the Boone's Mills side
Yeah.
of town, correct?
Yep.
So she does have the best of both worlds here.
That's perfect.
And of course, my wife are all from the same county, so there's a connection. Now our daughters go dance together and stuff. So it's just really cool how the world kind of circulates back around. And, people I knew from my past ended up getting married, and now they live here in my hometown. And
We're responsible parents.
exactly. And I've got some
But
great...
you've got all the dirt.
I don't remember any of it.
Don't worry, I've got pictures to remind you.
Oh, God.
We won't show those out anywhere. I'll just show you and maybe your husband. I don't want him to think less of me because I was just snapping photos and it just happened to.
I'm not going to pass comment. I'm claiming the fifth on this one.
But so you had hit me up the other day. You have a walk or something coming up?
Yeah, so I started working for the Southern Virginia Child Advocacy Center here in Rocky Mount about a year after we moved here. And we have an office in Stewart as well. So what we do is we work with kids who have been victims of abuse and neglect. That could be any form of abuse or neglect, witnessed domestic violence, sexual abuse, physical abuse, anything like that.
Oh, awful.
So we cover Franklin County, Henry County, the city of Martinsville, Patrick County, and Pennsylvania County.
That's a hell of a region.
It is.
Wow.
And so we work a lot with law enforcement and social services. They bring cases to us, and we help them interview children, and we offer counseling and CASA support, which is like a court advocate type person that goes to goes with kids to make sure that they're getting the best that they need. So every year we have a race. It's called Johnny CASA. We have a 5K and a 5-miler, but they run together. We started up here at that intersection where the hub is, but
Okay.
on up where that church is. I think it's a
United
Episcopal
Methodist?
Church.
You talking
No,
about-
on up.
Okay.
It's at the light basically at the hub and
All that stuff.
where Pell Avenue is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Pell. And so we start there, and you go down by the hub and up all the way up the hill, and the 5K turns around somewhere around the fire department and comes back that same route. The 5K goes into the middle school parking lot and turns around and comes
The
back.
5 mile.
The 5 mile.
Right.
Yes. So this is our 17th year doing it. So it's, COVID's had some issues with getting people to come. It was virtual a couple years ago because of COVID.
How do you do a virtual run?
You just register and then you just virtually do it.
Now that sounds like my kind of
You still
running right there.
register?
I will give you my money,
Right.
and then I will sit on my ass at the house and let y'all do all the legwork.
Yeah. So this is, like I said, this is our 17th year. And for this weekend, we are providing a discount code for anybody that wants to register. The discount code for this weekend is HOLIDAY, and that gives you 15% off all registrations. And then our Facebook page also has some other discount codes that you can get. If you're registered more than one person at a time, you get additional discounts. Students get a discount, and they get a cheaper registration as students. So we like to try to involve kids as much as we can, since that's what we do. We work with kids. So, we would love to have anybody and everybody come out. As of right now, I think we have about 100 registered.
Fantastic.
It usually runs about 200, 150 to 200, so we're a little behind, but we still got a couple weeks to go. It's December 17th. It starts at 9 a.m. You can register the morning of at our office if you're just not really sure if you want to run till you wake up that morning.
Typically,
yeah.
how much do you raise?
Gosh, it's $26 a registration,
Okay.
and we get a lot of sponsorships, like through local businesses. They give us money or food, like McDonald's sponsors us and gives us some food to hand out. And we hand out the best food after the race. This year we're doing kielbasa pineapple glazed bites, sausage balls, cookies, fruit, all that good stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so come on out. If you've got kids, they can do it too. So there's a 5K and a 5 mile.
Come and run your ass off.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife will show up to that, and I will volunteer to babysit that day. So we'll probably chip in our money, but she'll be the only one that does the physical activity. Because
Yeah, we're doing a canned food drive too. So if people want to bring canned food, they can bring it starting that Monday of that week. So I think maybe the 12th. 11th.
With canned food, I've come across this a couple of times. Don't go through your pantry and get rid of all your out-of-date stuff. Please make sure it's in date, because otherwise it just gets pitched straight in the garbage.
Yeah,
So,
we don't want expired food.
No, please don't do that. I mean, it sounds great, but it doesn't work.
Well, we certainly support anything that helps out the kids because, as you know, that's a big part of this show. A big part of why I started it was because of my kids. So, you know, we want the kids in this area to have something to look forward to. We want them to feel safe and secure and have a place that they can call home and a place they want to come back to. So I'm fully in support of this whole deal. Anything
absolutely.
Taylor's doing, I'm all about because I known her long enough where I have no choice but to believe what she's saying. So
you better. This is something we should support as a community. In a big way. I mean, let's put your hand in your pocket, folks, and let's just make it happen.
Yes, and so for anybody, just pay attention to our Facebook page. We're going to post a flyer here in the next couple of days and stuff. That'll give you all the information that she's talked about. And
the band is passing by the way. It's not Billy's beer cans getting popped off. It is the band marching past. Bloody marvellous.
All righty. Well, Taylor, we certainly appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time
guys.
coming on here. We'll get you on another time to tell some more stories. Some,
gosh. Okay.
some PG stories.
Bless you, Taylor. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
for
We'll
what
see you
you
over
do.
there with the kids
All right.
dancing.
Bye.
And we are back. I just got done going and watching my beautiful daughter dance over there. And, for anybody out there that's got a kid that likes dancing, Raise the Bar Studios is where our little girl goes. And it's great. I mean, my cousin's one of the teachers over there. My nieces go dance over there. And, it's gives her a chance to get out there and meet people. And as a kid, socializing is important. So.
Has it improved your two-step?
You can't improve 2 left feet. However, alcohol can improve my confidence in dancing.
Oh, absolutely.
So
we all think we're fantastic when we're shit-faced.
Whatever y'all think, I think I'm just rocking and rolling with it. So we're back for this segment. And like I said, this whole entire show is just going to be 10, 15 minutes here and there, just of all kinds of random people. And I'm going to let Simon introduce this next guest because tonight's the first night I met him. So, Simon, I'm going to let you take the charge on this. Oh, we got Don back with us from Miami Vice. Kelly's probably going to jump on here in a minute too. So
Yeah, I finally found her.
So don't think we're gonna forget about her because
This is about as going to be as random as it possibly gets.
very random, very
Now-
random. Where'd you have to drag her out from?
Twin Creeks.
A rock?
Yeah, Twin Creeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Twin Creeks. Oh, splendid. I've got caught stuck in there as well. 2 flights and I was a mess.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, after last Friday, my paycheck was a mess because I basically spent half of it there.
Oh, splendid.
That'll get you. So Simon, who we got on here?
We've got Jonah, a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for a couple of years. He's a fellow homesteader and just a wealth of information. He's very motivated about homesteading, farming techniques, and kind of revolutionary farming techniques as well. And we just keep getting
lovely.
people putting piggy noses on the windows of the Morris Hotel. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a bill to clean them tomorrow.
Not my problem.
But anyway, Jonah, introduce yourself. And I know you've got some, and they're not revolutionary farming techniques by any stretch. They're actually old school stuff that we've lost. I think the skill set in how we can run a homestead. And you've got some. To me, they're revolutionary, but they're not because it's the old way of doing stuff.
Yeah, I started looking into ways of making things less labor intensive because my wife has some mobility issues. So I did a lot of no-dig, did research into that. There's a few authors from Virginia I was looking up. My wife kept telling me, you need to do it this way. You need to do the no-till method and all this. And I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do that hippie stuff. And now I've said, now I'm a hippie that believes in God and guns. So, I kind of went that way. So, actually, I went to Melvin's Farm to Fork. I finally convinced my wife to go there, and we got a herd share because she's raised her own dairy cows before, but she was worried about having somebody else milk for the raw milk. So we went there today because hearing your all's podcast, I was like, yeah, I definitely do need to support local ag more. And we've been buying Homestead Creamery milk, which I've been doing that for like 2 years. But we finally went to that raw milk.
And I think Thad, thankfully has broadcast that, and that's great that you're taking that on. So now we've got someone who is making a positive contribution as a result of the podcast, and is changing, and I say that cautiously because we want to support the Homestead Creamery, but going into that local farm production, knowing your local farmer, knowing the number of retail sources that you can get that, and not all of them have to be necessarily legitimate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a few cash things that I do that I'm happy with, especially where people, stick a ham in their shed for a year and leave it on a plank with some salt. And I'm not going to do that right yet. I don't know that technique, but I'll buy it from somebody who does. So.
Well, that's a classic. If you're talking about Parma ham, prosciutto, and all that good stuff, they're using a certain breed of pig to do it. And then they're aging it in a smoke room over salt, and you get the best possible product you can imagine. And it's over salt. There is no chiller. It doesn't need to get obviously in 105 degrees.
No, actually, it said they need to get the August sweats. It actually does that August heat is actually what cures Virginia country ham. It
sweats it out.
Yeah, they call it the sweats. So I was like, it's really good stuff.
So we actually have the climate here in which to possibly with the right ham and the right pig, because it's all about again marbling. As soon as people realise that it's about marbling,
it's about fat,
and it's about the fat, the quality of fat. There's actually. And it's a Blackfoot pig, I think, from Spain, is a very sought after breed of pig for this process. And there is, if I'm not mistaken, an offshoot of that breed that is prevalent in an island off of North Carolina that has that bloodline. So. We do have accessibility to absolute first-class smoked meat products with certain breeds. Yeah. Everyone's looking at me laughing, going, how the hell do you know this?
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
I was more curious and you're interested in smoked meat, but...
Yeah. Oh, dear. We're going down there already. This isn't...
We saw Don picking up over there.
It's not the rant fest. I can't stop dropping F-bombs left, right, and centre. This is a family show, Billy.
It is.
All I was going to say is after, I get the meat sweats, but that's after Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. you really get them after tasting some of this ham.
You're savages. Good Lord.
The other thing about Melvin's Farm to Fork is that connection that I made because we're selling duck eggs in there. And I mentioned, hey, I have a lot of duck eggs. Sometimes I have a surplus of goose eggs. Could I sell them here? And she's like, yeah, actually, my supplier's about ready to go away.
There you go.
And I was like, well, that helps me out because now my surplus, instead of feeding them to my dogs or pigs or whatever, now I can actually make a little bit of money, pay for the gas,
pay for feed and gas and all that good stuff. Yeah. And of course, I'm not going to suggest it's under the table or the tax man is having nothing to do with it. Screw the IRS. Oh, sorry, that just slipped out.
It never slips out from me. That's intentional every time I say it. Those 87,000 agents to go after those handful of billionaires is really going to set this country in the right direction.
Absolutely, they are only after the billionaires.
Well,
they're not coming for us.
$2 trillion goes missing at the Pentagon, and $20 billion is stolen by this little weenie here recently, the Sam Freed guy. But $601 on Venmo, you better be reporting that.
Oh, you better. How dare you not?
That's the reason, everything's in cash because I'm like, I want.
How very un-American of you. Oh dear, here we go. It's going down that. It's going down that road, Billy.
We've got time to change it though, but
no, we don't. It's gonna get worse.
So, what got you interested in the homestead? And is it something you've been doing your entire life, something you grew up on, or something that you realized was necessary for? Imminent survival.
We already, my family's always done it, being from Kentucky, kind of, they grew up with it, have a little bit of, a little garden. My grandfather always wanted to garden. He always talked about growing up during the Depression, and then now with things happening and the food supply, realizing that a lot of food is actually not too good for you anymore.
I think you're being way too polite there, actually, Jonah.
I am.
Let it go.
I am. I think there is some intentional nefariousness going on in here,
And
it's getting kind of. I've been reading a lot of Substacks, especially since COVID happened, about just how bad things are. And I mean, some people have been reporting that it's getting worse from like 1930s. And it's also self-sufficiency to where I don't have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from. I've always been a big hunter. My family's been hillbilly hunters. That's the reason I love the Appalachian podcast name is just my family is from Appalachia. You can't get more Appalachian, I think, than Ohio River Valley.
No.
Give us you said something to me yesterday. We had a chat and a couple of ciders and what have you yesterday. And you said something about the podcast that it was, you saw it had the potential to reach a bigger audience, and it was something so refreshingly new that gets away from the Franklin News Post, the Laker, the Roanoke Times. Just share some of your thoughts on that, because that actually it kind of justified our position on how we see this going. I mean, we're just a bunch of slack-jaw, lunatics that aren't afraid to upset anyone. But, trying to focus that on culture, music, local events, and all that good stuff. But I think you had a perspective that you made a comment that made me sit back and think we're on the right track.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments, but I think the one was about how this is just some great local news to have, just for two hillbillies, can just sit somewhere like in a vacant building or a building that's being constructed, and we can bring local news and people will actually listen to us. And I mean, that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power that we can take back.
It's affecting change.
It's affecting
the thing
change
that you
too.
said to me that really struck a chord. We can affect change,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal.
Because we're getting the message out there. We're letting our voice be heard to people and to local people. Because I think that's something I'm interested in is local news in Franklin County, where it's like the Franklin News Post. Like I don't really care about that because it's not news. Growing up in Franklin County, I didn't even know like this parade even happened for a long time. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in Franklin County that I'm really not aware of. Especially politics, especially going to school board with you. I think it was last year having quite a fun time there.
It was rather.
Yeah. It opened my eyes, especially being outside of the school board and seeing the rest of the county and who's showing up, but who knows what is going on. And it was nice. It was refreshing hearing the podcast about what was going on with this building and the owner of the Phillip and what the Rocky Mountain Council was happening, and then realizing how mad and angry some of the people that were in power were getting over this. Just getting mad over like three guys, just three guys, or just the few people that's going to the school board, like how they don't like people standing up, the plebes standing up to the to the oligarchs.
No, they don't like it at all.
It is we the people, and again, as a firm constitutionalist, if you think that you're going to shut my First Amendment rights up, let me tell you, I'm going to be coming at you like a steam train. I will roll over you, and it's going to happen.
Well, one interesting thing he said in a couple points, one, when he's talking about the local stuff, we've had a lot of really interesting people on this show. We've had a Winston Cup champion, we've talked about before, some phenomenal musicians, NASCAR drivers, authors, all kinds of people. And it's been crazy to watch a transition. I know, granted, a lot of them people we had on early on in the show, it's really tough to reach a lot of people when you're new, but it's been crazy to see how the more local we got, the increase in the listeners and the support, because people really do need something. And it's kind of crazy to see that a couple of local farmers come on the show and we get a whole lot more support and listens than we do for a NASCAR driver. And that's not taking anything away from him. It was a great show, but people are really yearning for something out there. And it's,
well, no one trusts mainstream media anymore. So the narrative that you get from mainstream media has been.
Oh, there's one of the farmers right there.
Here comes one of our farmers right now, which is fantastic. But no one has faith in the mainstream media message or narrative. And so where are they going to get something that they've got? Exhale, here comes Big Chris. Party's in the house. Yeah. So I think the podcast definitely fills that void, and trying to keep it real. But I still don't want to be the guy that bends to what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Have you got to be polite? No, I haven't got to be polite. I don't have to be polite.
Yeah, that's what got me upset too at the Board of Supervisors. They're like, you can't say anything bad to us or the public, workers and anything. And I'm like, actually, there's a precedent that we can. There's a precedent that we can do whatever.
There's absolutely the precedent set that we can. And if I offend you, I don't even have to apologise either.
Exactly.
So, this is how we roll. And I don't think we should be afraid of it. There's too many people afraid of upsetting someone because we have different opinions. If different opinions come to the table, that's a great step forward.
Exactly.
So I'm prepared to compromise with a differing opinion. What I'm not prepared to do is apologise for an opinion that you find offensive, can't possibly tolerate, because your opinion you think is superior to mine. That makes you the fascist, not me. Yep. So as far as that goes, kiss my ass.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that's what they're using the excuse of non-tolerance is like, you can't even open a dialogue. Well, I get offended. Well, sorry, how about we actually sit down like adults and talk about it? And that was a great thing about the BLM ones that I really appreciated too. So, but I think it's awesome being here, sitting with a bunch of local guys. It's like we got a piece of plywood on some sawhorses.
That's all it is. Plywood's been sitting outside for 5 months.
Like all our friends and all the people that we know are just coming in and sticking their nose up against the glass. It's awesome.
And you also, when you talk about, people getting interested in what's going on in the town, Don right here started to speak out. I've had people from other towns, from Bedford, from Marion, from Roanoke, all tell me, venting that there's been all kinds of issues. Start your own podcast in your towns. Or if you want us to go after your own people in your towns, reach out to us too. We can bring these things to light. That's what we're here for. We just want people to have options. We want people to know what their rights are. We want people to know what their abilities are. And I think we can take it to a whole new level.
It's sad to say that we come over here because there's just nothing in Bedford, and we feel more home over here. So, yeah.
Well, Jonah, I think that we need to get you on your own entire show and sit down and have a talk. I think
joining the Next Farmer podcast
would be
is
great.
Exactly where we want you, because you're giving us, I think, the not big ag perspective about how you can increase your yields with farming techniques that have been on the verge of being lost.
Yeah.
And I'm really into that.
And I think, too, it's like helping out local businesses because, like I said, you can barter and trade, and it lowers the cost of the restaurant while you're getting a free meal. That's what my grandfather taught me back in Kentucky. That's what everybody did. Everybody wins. That's what
it's a win-win.
Exactly.
And I definitely want you back on with the next farming show that we are going to do.
Yep, we'll have more of them for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Well, we're going to go ahead and let him get out of here because we got a couple other people right here that we're going to get back on here. So
thank you, guys.
No, thank you so very
Bless
much
you,
for
Jonah.
your time, Jonah. We'll be in touch, and we'll definitely
you're on
have
the
you
next one.
time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
looking forward to it. Thank you,
Take
guys.
care.
Simon, the Dutchman.
I hate the freaking Dutch.
I worked with the Dutch for like 7 years. I want to kill it. They say three things about the Dutch, right?
Okay.
Wooden shoes,
Okay.
wooden head,
All right.
wouldn't listen.
That's too good. How long have you been in the U.S.?
15 years now.
Well, you're not a Dutchman anymore.
I know.
American, man.
Man,
You're an American.
man, I'm under fucking assault here.
Nobody's going to forget this.
I won't let them.
And this might end up being my favorite segment of it. And there's no disrespect to anybody else to come on this show, but for a few reasons, the guests we're being joined by right now, for one of the favorite shows we've done in the 90 or so we've recorded. Robynn Jaymes has jumped back on it. I've had so many people hit me up and say Robyn's episode was so much fun. They enjoyed it. The Garth Brooks story, her using Garth Brooks's toilet and sitting down and making a phone call. And this is back before cell phones,
That's
so,
right.
Thank you so much for joining us here, Robynn. We got Leah. I'm not going to say her last name for her own protection because she
Witness
has
protection
She has
program.
warrants. She has warrants. So we're not live or anything, but
And I ran into a friend and I brought him along. I hope that's okay.
it is very much okay. We're being joined also by Henry Law of
Moonshiners,
Henry Law's
yeah.
distilleries and the TV show Moonshiners. Been trying to get Henry on here for a long time.
That's what he said.
We might not, hopefully we can get him back on here for a longer episode, but while we got him here for 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to enjoy this stuff.
You got to talk to my girl, Robynn Jaymes.
Absolutely.
She got me up here.
That's right.
That is perfect. Thank you so much. Well, how have you been?
Good, good. How about you?
We have been doing great here lately. It's been a lot of fun. We've started to hit the Franklin County a whole lot harder than we did in the beginning. It's kind of crazy because we outkicked our coverage in the beginning. We get all these people that are way out of our purview.
Yeah.
And it was kind of tough to deal with. Now we've kind of gotten back home to our roots a little bit. We've had a whole lot more fun, a whole lot more success. Now we appreciate all those people who's on the show, but it's nice to mix it up. It's nice to get it going.
And I've been following you on Facebook and just love your adventures and your sarcasm. And
Simon has helped that out quite a bit.
I saw you looking at me when you said that.
I can see right now that you cause a lot of problems.
I believe I have.
and you got my good friend here, Donnie Johnson,
I know. I mean, he's
my personal Ghostbuster.
he is, and what a phenomenal Ghostbuster he is.
He is.
Have you heard the audio that he sent me of the attic? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was from the Avenel plantation
Have
house.
you heard that? Now I tell you what, when he come over
I
for
played
the
that for y'all, didn't I? Don't worry.
So, no. I DJ'd his wedding. Have you talked about the wedding?
No.
No, he has not.
Is Kelly here?
That's bad.
Yeah, she finally made it back.
Can we tell this story?
Absolutely.
She finally made it back from Twin Creeks.
That's all right. I sent my best
where's
friend too.
Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen and Jeff abandoned us, and then I had
Right.
to walk her back up the street. So
Yeah, I was broadcasting live tonight on B99.9, and I looked up and everybody was gone. It all went to Twin Creeks. So I'm like, okay, I get
Bunch
it.
of drunks.
But I did Donnie and Kelly's. I DJ'd their wedding reception at the Avenel, and so I mean, just right from the minute of getting there and setting up, it was perfect for these two because first thing happens is I'm in this room setting the table up and the door slams and I'm like, what? I'm in there by myself. Door slams. Let's see what else. What else do we have? We had
wardrobe doors that kept opening and shutting.
Yeah.
And then
the footsteps upstairs when
upstairs.
everybody was downstairs. This is all pre-wedding and before the reception even too. Just early before everybody got there.
So what we're trying to do is scare everybody away?
It was these two. Let me tell you. That's crazy. It was crazy. Was that when you?
It's probably one of our most favorite locations to go to. We
The
consider
Avenel.
that our safe house.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of activity there. We caught a lot of good EVPs and a lot of voices and images. So, it's me and Kelly both say if it wasn't for the fact that we've caught the evidence we had 10 years now, we wouldn't be doing it. We still didn't believe in it. So, some of the stuff we've had a chance to do and places we've had the chance to go has been a blessing, really.
Yeah. So Henry Lee Law here. They are Ghostbusters, paranormal investigators. And so, how long have you've lived in Franklin County? I'm sure you've heard some ghost stories.
All my life.
Yeah.
The only ghost stories I hear is when the law comes in.
Them damn revenuers, right?
That's when Henry becomes a ghost himself. So.
You try to, but
Yes,
sometimes it doesn't work.
That's right.
I found out one thing: you can tell them anything you want to tell them, get them to believe it.
That's right.
They just don't want to believe what we tell them. But I don't know about your ghost stuff. I got a house down to Lake, and there's a girl with Sarah, supposedly.
Oh.
My niece came in one day and said, Sarah said that y'all were down to Lake. And I said, Sarah? Who's Sarah? She said the little old lady was at the house. It's an old house. It was there before the lake came up. 2-story house, beautiful house. And I said, I don't know any Sarah. She said she's in the living room there. So I went up. No Sarah there. No Sarah there. So I was thinking, yeah.
There you go. You guys need to.
Paranormal.
Hit us up. We'll come look at
She had
it.
an accent, too.
And here's what I like about
Oh, shit.
She had a damn accent. I don't know.
hopefully it wasn't a
I'm
British
just saying.
accent.
It was British.
Hang about on Dutch.
She was a Dutch lady, I guess.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
when
I
she
like
was on.
about Don and them, and what really gave me a lot of respect, was that he said they've never taken a dime from anybody.
Yeah.
And the first thing that they want to do when they go into a house is they want to disprove the entire ghost theory.
Yeah.
They want to go in there and make sure it's not creaks in the house, it's not an old house moving around.
That sounds like when we go to federal court, we try to disprove the fact it wasn't us. They'll have a big picture, 8x10 picture, and it's you, Henry. No, it's not, that doesn't look like me. That doesn't me. So we try to disprove it. Go ahead.
Well, no, just that's why. And after he played me that audio, which if you haven't heard it, have him send it to you. Play it for Henry. He's sitting there in a room. He's saying, "Are you here? Are you here?" Something, and then you hear a very faint voice. What does it say? Go to the attic.
It says, "Come to the attic."
Come to the attic. I'm telling you what, the hairs on my neck stood up. The few hairs on my legs I got stood up. I mean, so if it's, and I kind of thought about
Hairs on the what?
Well, what?
Nothing.
Look, it's the Native American in me. Well, I don't grow hair on my legs. I don't shave them. But I was wondering if. Okay, now tell me this real quick, Don. Simon has a cabin that we need to get everybody up here for, especially a 4th of July party. But the cabin is a few hundred years old, and it housed a slave lady who had about 10 kids she raised in this small, tiny cabin, probably the square footage of this room right here, if not less.
Wow.
But it was moved from Sidnersville to Callaway. Would the spirits hang out still in Sidnersville, or would they stay with the house if it was home?
Well, there were certain spirits that actually.
We're not talking about alcohol spirits.
Not the not the bottled spirits.
I hear you, man. I hear you, Dutch.
Oh, there goes my story. Oh shit!
Law's choice. That's the spirit.
That was almost like being censored. I mean, what just happened there?
I moved a cabin from up around Callaway. Dates back to mid 1700s. And I've looked down at my cabin. I moved it over at my place a couple miles south of here, and it's amazing because I've looked down there a couple times and I've seen the light on, and I know I turned the light off. And you still do that paranormal?
Absolutely. Yep.
Maybe we need to check that cabin out because
You just let us know when. We'll be there.
in mid 1700s, and you could see the different years that they it started out, with the big logs, and it probably had a solid roof on, I would say, and maybe a dirt floor. And then as the years went by, you could see parts that they built on and added on and kept adding on. And then we moved it log by log down to my place and set it up. And I'm telling you, man, I'll see lights on down there from time to time. And I know,
Wow.
that I was down there and I turned the lights out.
Wood is a good conductor, just like water. And most time, any energy that can be stored, wood can absorb it, water can absorb it, and it's just a spirit can follow a location, a house, if you move it from one location to the other. Sometimes it's something that's attached to the property itself, so that's where the investigation part comes in. So it's a lot of back.
Would y'all be interested in checking it out?
Absolutely.
I'll get you guys hooked up.
I keep looking for Kelly over. I'm just seeing a set of headphones and Robin. So.
Thank you, Kelly.
And let me know when y'all do that, because I've told Don the last show I want to go to actually one of his little seances or whatever they're called.
He called it little.
He didn't want to use that word. Say
Billy, that's not a word I would use.
I want to be a part of it. I want to go there. I want the hair on the back of my neck to stand up for real. I want to feel like, because I've heard the stories. My grandpa, my brother, everybody I know, they've seen them, they've heard, but I'm the only one that has it. Maybe there's ghosts in my house, so you just scream at them and tell them to shut up. But it could be they're creaking in the floor. I don't know. But if you do that one, let me know, because I'd really like to go and be able to tell the story on the show as well, kind of make it a whole big deal. So, yeah, if that happens,
we'll even bring you a T-shirt. How about that?
That would be phenomenal. That'd be great.
So next, who wants to go to St. Albans? No.
No.
No tapes.
See, Donnie and I have been friends for a long time, but I've introduced him to Dan the Man at the radio station, and Dan was talking to him about coming to the radio station building, and I said, I don't want Donnie to come to the building because I spend the night there sometimes, and I do not want to. I leave every light.
I'm going to have to get with Dan kind of behind the scenes. We're going to have to work on that when you're not there.
I leave all the lights on when I spend the night there because, they've told me there's, and I know, I don't want to know.
What do you say? He's here children? I think it used to be like a doctor's office.
Was.
No. We
Yeah,
can't do
right.
that.
See,
We can't do
and
that.
I'm not kidding.
I will never work again.
I get up at 4:35 in the morning because when I stay, it's to do the morning show. Yeah. I don't want to know.
We can tell them not to bother you.
That'd be good.
They always listen, don't they?
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Because they play by our rules.
Yeah, I mean, you see how The Conjuring turned out. It turned out okay.
I can't even remember watching that movie. I don't think.
Billy, one of the things Henry was telling me about, and I wanted to make sure that he shared it with you because we're excited about the hotel.
Absolutely.
And talking about this is one of the things that we were really excited about coming to Franklin County, and that you have fans, Henry, from all over the nation that follow Moonshiners and Law's Choice.
It's unreal, like 200 countries.
And it's crazy that I think that the folks here in Franklin County, you're like right under their noses, and they really don't know he's here, you know. And he is talking about. I said we need a moonshine tour. Because Franklin County, I know you and I have talked about embracing the history
Absolutely.
of the Moonshiners, and of course Henry's a third generation. Thank you. I'll have a nip right now. Henry is a third generation moonshiner, and I was talking about. I said we need a tour, and you were talking about what you.
I've been collecting stuff for the past few years. I actually was up at Cecil Lowe's old home place, and I dug up a lot of stuff he had, and it was amazing stuff that I found. Went to this site on his property. It was like 20 or 30 steels. I've never ever seen that many steels in one place before.
Wow.
He gives me chills. He's talking about chills and hair raising up on your back. And it's unreal when I saw all this stuff. And I gathered it up and I talked to Cecil. He's 95 years old. And
Wow.
I try to talk to these older guys. Yeah, I'm in my 60s.
I've got a moonshine still. Literally, if I just go over the back of my farm, onto the next farm in the creek bed, there's a disused still there.
Exactly.
I mean, they are
Really?
absolutely
They're everywhere in Franklin County. If you go to
Everywhere.
a creek on Franklin County, you'll find some. But
And as soon as you back into the mountain, and you get into the foothills and the springs, they are all there.
there's over 10,000 springs in Virginia.
Wow.
10,000 springs. And we centrally located. You think about Philadelphia, Boston, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina. Franklin County is positioned exactly in the place it should be. And with these mountains and the springs, it was ideal for making a living.
Yeah.
And God bless the Scots Irish for coming down and just making it happen.
I think you'd be saying that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well,
English.
and I'm glad you bring that up too, Robyn, because, you know, I inherit a lot of people, or not inherit, I encounter a lot of people that say, well, we need to get away from the moonshine stigma around here. We need to get and look, it's not just about the bootleg, and it's just not about the moonshine. It's also about the rebel spirit. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to look at the law and say, kiss my ass, to be able to do your own thing, be your own man, and it's more than just a liquor. It's a way of life. You know, the reason I named this the Appalachian Podcast is because I wanted to focus in on people like Henry Lee.
Yeah.
I wanted to focus in on the people that work in the coal mines every single day in deep Southwest Virginia. Because, 100 years ago, they was the people that was stepping up against the federal government when they sent in troops and said, you're not going to run all over us. We'll go to battle with you. And that's the same thing the bootleggers and the moonshiners around here have done for 100 years.
Exactly.
And it's a spirit. Yeah. It's not the liquor. If you just look at it as liquor, then you're looking at the wrong thing.
You've missed the point.
You missed the point
the point.
completely. Because anybody can go make liquor. It's about the people that are going to go out of their way. They're going to take the extra steps to make sure you get what you want.
And to
make
feed
sure
the
you have a
family,
good
man. That's
life.
what it's all about. Bottom line is to feed the family.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Feed
And
the
at the end of the
family.
day, and I'm glad, Henry, because I wanted to ask you this question, Henry. I've been dying to ask you this, and I read your book, and I thought it was a phenomenal book. If you haven't read it yet, I encourage you, go out and get 100 Proof by Henry Lee. It's a great read. It's a good history. It's an easy
Thanks,
read.
man. I appreciate that.
I loved it. I got it sitting on my bookshelf at home. Probably going to end up reading it again. I read it front to back. My grandpa was mentioned in there a few times. We'll get in that on the next show because he was the law. And he was the law. But one interesting thing that I read at the end of the book, almost at the very end, Henry, you said something about the TV show Moonshiners. If you really want to know how to make moonshine, come find me.
Come to
And it looks
Franklin
like they
County.
came and found
Come
you.
to Franklin County.
So how did that work out, and how did they approach you for that whole deal?
Well, actually, it was Morris Stevenson with a post here in Franklin County.
Absolutely.
And
I
then,
got his book at the house, too.
Linda Stanley kept pushing it. And he kept pushing. And finally, Tim Smith gave me a call, and he wanted to come down and talk to me about doing just a quick little session and want to talk to my dad. So we did. And then we filmed it, and they left. And he said, well, Henry, it may be the end of it. They may come back. They may not. So the following year, they pulled in my driveway. He called and said, we're coming down. I thought the guy was coming down. They came down with the whole film crew. These guys are pretty cool. They're from all over the country. And they come here to Franklin County. And they've never heard of Franklin County before. And we're trying to educate them. Franklin County moonshine capital of the world.
I'm surprised you called it 100 proof.
It rolls off the tongue a little better, I guess.
I believe that may have been the lower end of the scale.
Well, and I agreed when I read it in the book. I was like, and this is I read the book after he'd already been on the show for a few years, but I said, "Hey, frickin' men," because when the show first came out, I thought to myself, how in the hell are they going to have a show named Moonshiners and not have anybody from Franklin County on there?
Exactly.
It's beyond me. So when you ended up going on the show, I was pleasantly surprised and pleasantly pleased, because you can't really tell the story of moonshining if you don't have somebody. And I think with your history and your lineage, between your father and you and your brother, you're the perfect fit for the show, for around here to tell our story and to let you know how we are.
And that's what I want to do with the book. They depict moonshiners and Southerners as being, really, I hate to say it, but stupid.
Yeah.
They really do. Toothless, no education, blah, blah, blah. When you read that book, it's a different style of moonshiners. It tells a true story of moonshiners. It's a big-ass business. We were making hundreds of thousands of gallons a year.
They want to call you stupid because with all their education and all their smarts and how bad they think they are, if civilization collapses, you're surviving and they're not. All those degrees and PhDs.
Hang on, Henry. You were talking about, being hundreds and thousands, making hundreds of thousands. You've left your Bugatti out on the sidewalk here, and the police are about to tow it. And I wouldn't let the police anywhere near your Bugatti.
Bugatti? What the hell
is a Bugatti? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
It's a very fast Italian sports car.
How big is the trunk?
It's as big as you can make it.
It's fun is I started watching Moonshiners before I took the job at B99.9, so I was a fan of the show. So was it a year and a half ago, I guess, or maybe 2 years ago now we met. I got to do a live broadcast from the Moonshine. I called it the No Moonshine Festival, because they were serving moonshine the year that I did it 2 years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
And Henry and the Laws folks set up right next to me, and I got to meet them. And like I said, I was starstruck when I met him.
I was too.
We're mutual fans, and one of the cool things that I have learned from Henry, and he talked about it just kind of briefly, but I want to mention family. It's about keeping family alive and keeping family going. And he's taught me some of the history about how the whole country was in a state of depression. We never knew what a recession was.
Do what you got to do.
Everybody drinks liquor.
Right? And I admired the heck out of that, because and it wasn't just your family; it was the other families around there were helping contribute whatever, the sugar, the corn, whatever was needed.
Everybody made $1.
Yeah.
Everybody. Whether
A lot of sugar.
Working on their land.
Lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Well, see, that,
You want some?
Storage for the liquor, or we was buying furniture. People talk about Dad all the time and be raising hell about him, but they never turned down $1.
No.
He pulled that. Buying furniture, buying cars, buying whatever in the county. They always reached out and took that money.
Yeah, because most people around here, you said depression, like, what the hell are you talking about? This is life. This is how it's been. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The depression hit the stock market. It hit New York City and places like that. And, it's funny, too, because Franklin County gets the moniker Moonshine Capital of the World because back during Prohibition, I believe it was, as they estimated, 99 out of 100 citizens in this town in one way, shape, or form were connected to boot, whether it be buying it, selling it, running it, making it, providing sugar, drinking it. I went down to Dawsonville, Georgia a few years ago, and I don't know if you know much about Dawsonville, Dawson County, but it's a pretty big bootlegging part of Georgia. And the Georgia Hall of Fame has a distillery in there, and of course it's connected to Bill Elliott. I love Bill Elliott. I'm a race car fan. He was my driver growing up, and I go in there and got to talking to the guy. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm from Franklin County. We're the moonshine capital of the world." And he kind of looked at me like, "Well, no, we're the moon." And he said, and I'll never forget this. He said to me, he said, "No." I said, "Y'all think y'all are." I said, "But we've had more stills busted in this county than any other place on the planet." And I looked at him straight in the face. I said, "Well, y'all are doing it wrong." I said, "That don't make you the moonshine capital. It just means y'all don't know how to get away from the law." So.
That's another one of my favorite stories. Henry talks about he and the law, and
oh, I love the law stories.
And how does that work out if they can't? You told me you wiggle out of their arms. So how does that? You told me that
they can't swear to you.
When you come in,
back in the day, they wouldn't. If they couldn't catch you right hand,
there was a certain group of them at a certain time when we were doing it. If they didn't catch us, they wouldn't swear to us. Then a bunch of other guys came along and they would swear to you. If they saw you within a quarter of a mile of still place, they'd take out a warrant for you.
And that's bullshit.
What we call swearing to you. So you had to prove that you weren't there. And
Gotcha.
if you weren't somewhere where you had witnesses, they would convict you and lock you up. But the bottom line was they were good guys.
Yeah.
Most of them were good guys.
Playing
we had
the game.
A mutual
Playing the game.
Yeah,
And that's cool.
We had a mutual respect for each other.
Yep.
We didn't have any guns. We didn't carry guns in. If they came in, it was well known. If they grabbed me around the neck, you did everything you could do to get away.
I love
except
that.
raising your hand to hit them. You could scramble, whatever it took to get away, and they
And no
expect
guns for
that.
the most part either. Like nobody was, firing for the most part. I know there was
No
some
guns,
shootouts.
nothing like that. And as long as you didn't raise your hand to them. Now, Uncle Peanut messed up one time, Kenny's dad. When he came in, he was working at night, and they raided him, and he scared the ever-living hell out of him. Just out of, fright, he had a flashlight in his hand, he hits the officer.
Oh.
That didn't work out real for him.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you that. They put him up against a tree and beat the hell out of him. Yeah, they beat the hell out of him. And they sent word to my dad, said,
That was an accident, officer.
we don't put up with this stuff, Amos. But I guess from that point on, we knew that when he came in, I've been, they've had me up against the steels, and I've had bruises on my arms, from scrambling to get away, and I got away. They never could catch me on foot. Only way to get us most experienced is me and Kenny. And, we got away, and they never would swear a word against us.
No.
Never did.
I believe you're earning yourself a new moniker here, Teflon Henry.
Well, see, like I said, it goes back to the book, and once again, I encourage anybody and everybody in this town, go buy that book. It's a phenomenal read, and one of the greatest pieces of advice. Nowadays, it's not quite so easy to run from the law, but one of the things
Yeah, it is.
one of the, but one
I
of
hate
the-
to tell you, yeah, it's
Leave it to Simon to
We
say.
got to take you to the steel site, doesn't it?
But one of the greatest pieces of advice I read in that book, and I thought it was phenomenal. Henry said, if the law's not running, you don't run.
Don't run.
If he's chasing you and he's running, you run. If he starts walking, you start walking. You don't
Exactly.
give them that opportunity. And you also, like his strategy in that book. And I'm going to have to give you the book when I get home, so I want you to take it up and read it. But his strategy, he said when the law would come in one direction, he would know to run up the mountain. And you'd run up the mountain and you get away from
I
him.
asked all those old timers, I said, what do you do to get away? I kept asking them, begging them actually, what do you do to get away? It was almost like asking somebody how you do brain surgery. They wouldn't give me any information.
Oh, goodness.
None. One guy, he took his hands, he parted some leaves up the hillside. He said, that's where I'm going to run. And I'm like, it's got to be a way to get away from these guys. The first time I got run, they grabbed me around the neck. I broke free and they caught my buddy. He was down on the ground. And the officer was coming up, hit him, and he was saying, you got me. And I walked on off, and I kept seeing these big trees, and I'm like, okay, somebody's got behind that tree, somebody's got to be behind this tree. But I was lucky, I got away, and then it hit me. It hit me. How they're human, just like us. What they do, just like you guys sitting in front of me here now, all of you be here 100 yards down, then the jump man comes in from behind you. That jump man's job is to catch you at the steel site, or what's going to happen when somebody comes at you, danger? What do? Run away. The opposite direction.
Yep.
And that's where you mess up. You go the opposite direction, you run 100 yards, the guy's down there waiting on you. You caught. I learned real quick, turn around and go back the way that jump man came. I was 24, 25 years old, man. Hard as that floor right there. You couldn't hold us down, you couldn't run us down. So we get around that jump man, we're gone, Dutchman.
the strategy these days might be slightly different.
Very.
Because if you're going to be confronted by the law at a steel site, you might want to run uphill.
Exactly.
As an infantryman, you want to run away from the point of contact. But with the law being maybe not as fit as they used to be, if you run uphill and you're good, they ain't going to do
right.
it.
You're exactly right. Because most of the time, you run downhill because a steel site.
And they're ready for you.
The creek is always downhill. The creek's always downhill. So when you come in, the first thing you're going to do is run away from danger and go downhill. It's much easier. You go back up that hill.
Who's following you?
Nobody.
The fit guy.
He can't make it.
And who's the fit guy?
But the problem is, most of them it's sending 2 or 3 jump men. That's the problem.
Yeah.
One time I raided
That's
us,
cheating.
it was 3 jump men.
It's cheating.
We were jugging up some liquor. Ronnie, he and his brother starts hollering, it's a man, he's running. I see him run down, and another guy's behind him. My brother, he jumps up. And I told my brother, I said, just calm down here. Wait, just a split second. So we go the opposite direction. before they was trying to run us. We went to wait a jump man coming in. Well, guess what? It was a third jump man.
Oh.
My brother's 18 years old. He spots the jump man. I stop in my tracks, right in my tracks. This jump man had a run on him, and he was flat open. He was just as close as me and Robyn, standing together. He runs by me. I could have reached out and slapped him, but he couldn't stop. He had that run. My brother, 18 years old, he books. He goes down. I get away. I get over to a friend of mine's house, and I get in the door. And, they let me in, and I heard the dynamite go off. I heard the steels blow up. So I called Daddy. I said, Daddy, how many did they get? And he said, they got all of them. I said, all of them? My God, there's 4 of us in there. What I did, I drove in to drop off a truck, and I was picking up another truck that belonged to my uncle. That's the reason I was in there. So I said, got all of them? He said, yeah. I said, didn't get Ricky, did they? He said, yeah, they got Ricky, my brother, Ricky. I said, I don't see how in the world the guy had gray hair. Ricky's 18 years old. Well, guess what his nickname was?
What?
Rabbit. Ran him down and caught him, 18 years old.
By the way, Henry, show me the patch on your sleeve a minute.
Oh.
That's
Is that artillery?
Me with that?
Yeah. Is that artillery?
See, I don't really know.
I've looked. That looks like
That's an artillery patch.
yeah, it looks like the Korean, but I can't remember. Like the Korean, not
Yeah.
Korean, Korea, like guys stationed in Korea. I can't remember.
It's an artillery patch.
Okay. Well, I'm in the military. I was in the military. I should know that kind of
I don't have
stuff.
time for all that down, but it's a good story behind that patch. I never served in the military, but a lot of my ancestors did, and I really I really appreciate the military and things they do for us. You just get the better of those guys.
We love them.
Yeah, exactly.
I did 6 years in the military, and it taught me enough to know I needed to get out after 6 years. But I learned a lot, and it really helped me to make me the person I am today. Whatever that's
straighten
worth.
your act
Whatever
out,
that's
Billy.
worth.
Straighten you
The
out.
military definitely sent me in the other direction. I was straight before I went in the military, and I got out, and I was just wild as hell.
Billy, there's something else that Henry shared with me tonight, and I want to make sure that we mention, because we're talking a lot about running from the law and all of this and breaking the law, but Henry gives back to this community.
Absolutely.
In so many ways, and we were just talking about he and his son Cash working with the Salvation Army. Tell me what you told me about being in prison, and what that they, at which time you were talking about that the Salvation Army brought gifts.
Okay, yeah. Salvation Army. I really, really appreciate the Salvation Army. I remember every year at Christmas, the Salvation Army would come around and bring us a package. And it was so funny. I was telling Robynn Jaymes earlier. I'm Caucasian, of course, blue eyes.
That's white for people who don't. That's white for people who don't know big words.
I had several guys and buddies of mine were African American. So they bring me an Afro pickles in my package. Of all things. An apple, an orange, and an Afro pick. I said, talked to a buddy of mine. I said, come over here. We need to trade. He said, what are you talking about, Henry? I said, take this Afro pick. I don't need it.
But since that
every
experience,
year, every year at the Salvation Army.
Well, the Salvation Army has one of the best percentages of money that you give as to money that actually makes it out as a worthy cause. And I'm not going to drop any names on some of the charities that are out there now, but I would urge everyone, if you are giving charitable money, check out the percentage of the dollar that you give to the dollar that they receive. And Henry's on the money with that, because the Salvation Army rocks it.
Yes.
Or look at how much the CEO of these charities make. Because the CEO, I guess that's what he's called, but the head of the Salvation Army makes, last time I looked was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe before inflation, he made about $65,000 a year to run the entire organization. There's another one here in town that has a big facility, and the CEO of that organization makes about $500,000 a year. You know what I mean? So that really tells you
big difference
where the money goes. Absolutely.
That is all public knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can
And
find every bit of that.
I just love that Henry makes a point now because of those gifts when he was in prison, that he makes a point, his family makes a point of supporting the Salvation Army. And
Absolutely.
and it's just, again, I want to talk about country music stars on the radio. There's so many of them that give back that you never hear about. And I don't want to brag on Henry Lee Law because he gives
We
back.
have to, because he's right here. You got to brag.
Well, and again, I'm a geeky fan, so
The unsung hero.
he is.
And isn't that a beautiful thing?
It is. And again, I think that unfortunately in Franklin County, I think he's right here under their noses, and I think a lot of folks don't know, don't appreciate And
County is just a wonderful place to live.
it is. It
And,
is.
and don't appreciate why people like him are in prison. They're not in prison for being cruel to people. They're not in
Right.
prison for harming people. They are in prison because the government didn't get their cut.
Yeah.
And I
Taxes.
think that is the biggest crock of shit. Pardon my language. My mom is standing in the room right now.
Oh,
But it really is like,
Billy,
you know.
Billy.
But, you know, before we get, because I know we got other people trying to get on the show, and I
Sure.
know y'all got other places to go as well. Robynn, definitely want to get you back on the show again. I loved having you on. Henry, we'd love to
fun.
sit you down and talk for an hour and a half or 2 hours about the book. About
Don't let him kid you. It's 3 or 4.
about your
It's
father,
great.
you know, about your dad. Like, I want to know so much about your dad. There's so much history there. I grew up literally half a mile down the road from y'all. I heard the stories growing up. And you know, knowing those guys, you know, hey, look, if these people are going to be around here and they're not going to take any shit, then I can live around here and not take any shit. So they were inspirations before they were inspirations, even for me. But, you know, the two questions I got for Henry. Number one, do you think that in today's world that illegal moonshiners can ever exist again?
No, no.
Not to the scale.
No, not the scale that we were on. It's impossible. Then now they use the laws like racketeering, money laundering that they designed for the mafia. And they came in and started using those laws and taking people's property. See, years ago, we'd been making liquor on somebody's property, and we there, and they'd come in and raid steel site, they'd cut it up and go on. But now they want to take people's property. You know, it could be in the family for generations. And all you do is pull a
Illegally,
load
by
of
the way.
liquor.
That is an illegal act. I don't care whether they have made whatever law it might be. It's illegal to confiscate property in that fashion. I despise it. I think it's
I hate it too.
disgusting.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's unconstitutional.
And they'll-
and I will fight. And I will
You'll
fight
never beat
that.
the government, though. You'll never beat the government.
Well, we can, but it's going
We
to take
can.
enough of us to stand up because it only
Really?
took 3% of the population back during the Revolutionary
Here
War.
we go.
And when we kicked his people's asses straight back to the Queen's Island, you know what I mean? Like it can happen, but you have to educate people. You have
They'll
to.
take your property and sell it before you even try it under those new laws.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's nothing you can do. And if you just pull a load of liquor on somebody's property, just pull it on that property
By association.
and then pull, yeah, exactly. By association, they can take that property.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unreal. Don't
And-
even get me started on that.
Well, we will in the next episode. We're going to. 'Cause
We'll
I
have a
wanna
long
get you on
chat
there for an hour
about
and a
that. I'd
half.
love to.
And the last question I had is I just want you to sit here and I want you to tell me something really nice about Charlie Mitchell because we've had him on the show before. We had him with the Paul Radford episode, and I want to encourage people to go back and listen to the Paul Radford episode because if you want to talk about somebody that had a lot of run-ins with the law,
He's amazing.
that show was phenomenal. He talked about running up Prilliman Switch. They're like, oh, the car only ran 90. I'm like, Paul, it was dirt roads back then. What do you mean it only ran 90? But But Charlie was on that show, and I
went to
know.
raised down in North Carolina with Charlie and Paul. And it was unbelievable. I got talking to Paul. He's like, what, 92 years old?
Oh yeah, and still sharp as a tack.
Sharp as a tack. And we got talking about moonshine and all. And, you know, he's well known. My father's been talking about him for years and years and years. They jumped on the back of a truck one time, and Paul was trying to get away, and they started shooting through the top of the engine.
Oh.
Yeah, to get him to stop. Anyway, they got him. They busted him. But he was telling me about going to West Virginia and running those loads of liquor. And what really impressed me was I did a thing. I worked with some guys years ago. Dad just hooked me up with them, and we were using Coke to fire the stills with. Coke is
Coca-Cola
like-
now.
Coke
Okay, I
is
want
like
to
Coke.
make sure it
Well,
ain't Colombian
well,
Band.
I went to North Carolina looking for Coke a while back, and I went in this place, and I told the lady, I said, we're looking for some Coke. She said, don't you come in here talking that shit.
Quite right, too.
I'm like, mate, no, lady, it's like coal. It's coal. We used to fire stills. But Paul used
And
those.
anthracite, because it's got the heat. That's the stuff to be using. I'm just saying.
So Paul was all into that, used the same stuff that hooked me with these guys, and it really impressed me because no one else around here has used that Coke before. But he has made a lot of liquor, and I'm trying to get something to do with it. I'm trying to get the show to do something with it.
With
I
Paul,
talked to Paul the other week.
you should, and very quick, because you never. I mean, and
They're
no
dying
disrespect
off.
for him, but you never know.
They're dying off, man, and we're losing them, and we're losing all of them. We need to get all the information we can from them.
Henry, come to the cabin.
Come to cabin? Yeah, sounds good.
Hey, what do you think? I mean, if we could get you and Paul on a show together, would you come up there and y'all swap stories at some point in time?
If you get Paul to be awful lucky, man.
We've had him on once. We talked about the racing stuff. He talked a little bit about the bootlegging.
I went and talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Paul, I'd like to do maybe a couple episodes with you about making liquor. He went like, get a funny look on his face.
That was a sideways glance for people that are listening.
So they're more reluctant than those younger guys. Those old timers, they do not want to talk about it. Still today.
He did. He talked about a little bit of it on our show, and I was pleasantly surprised because I do like the racing aspect because Paul Rafter is a legend. When it comes to racing,
yes,
he is an absolute legend. But he locally is probably a bigger legend when it comes to the bootlegging side of things if you don't know it. So go back and listen to that show. Hopefully, I can hit up Charlie, maybe Chris Williams or something. We can get Paul back on there with Henry because that would be one hell of a show.
We went to that race down in North Carolina, and we were on the show and all. And Ken and I was down there with Charlie and Paul, and it was so funny because they didn't even want to talk to me and Kenny. They want to talk to Paul Raffett, all those racing guys. It was unbelievable. He's a king, man.
Well, the cabin would be very authentic. I think you'd love it.
Absolutely. We can shoot the cannon, too. I don't know if you've ever fired a cannon in your life, but he has a real live cannon.
Oh, fun.
The Englishman has a cannon. Watch out.
I don't know about that.
Sorry, I'm Dutch. Sorry, I'm Dutch.
I'm in.
That sounds great, man. We can do that.
Can he mention his where you can get Law's Choice? And we've talked about this too.
Absolutely.
ABC stores.
Yes. Tell
the
us.
ABC stores in the state of Virginia. And if they don't have it in the ABC store throughout Virginia, just go to them, tell them that you want Law's Choice. Product ID is 075344, and they'll order it, deliver it right to the ABC store. You go pick it up. You get on our website, lawschoice.com. We got the information there that will direct you to the way you need to pick it up. And we've got recipes on lawschoice.com and merchandise too. So, Law's Choice, man.
Also, 100 Proof. Once again, I cannot recommend that book enough. I bought my copy at the Franklin Restaurant, but you could probably find it on Amazon, Franklin Restaurant, places
Their
around
website.
here. Go find their website. You can find it there. And Moonshiners TV show, what, Monday nights? Wednesdays.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm trying to
too.
catch. Look, I've had in the last 3.5 years, or 4 years, I've had a marriage and 2 kids, finding time for TV. So I'm trying to catch up on the episodes where
Wednesday
it started
nights
at.
8 o'clock.
Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Catch them on
Discovery
there. Robynn, Henry, Leah. Sorry you didn't get to talk much, Leah. But you got warrants.
listening.
We got warrants. We didn't want to,
Right.
let you give
I'm
away
not
too.
self-incriminating tonight.
Exactly. Thank y'all so very much for coming by here and talking. Definitely want to get y'all back on the show again, Robynn, especially you because everybody loved that show so much. Henry,
We all
for
love Robynn.
many reasons. For many reasons. Thank y'all so much for showing up. And we're about to jump our next guest on here, so we'll see y'all.
Thanks for having us, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.
Growing up, it ain't funny.
You drink whose moonshine?
Henry Lee's.
Good, we're recording now. I just wanted to get that on there for you.
He did that dirty little trick to me as well, and I got caught dropping an F-bomb out
You
of
dropped an F-bomb the first
of the
go-round.
gate.
Absolutely.
Well, you are the notorious one for dropping the F-bombs. I mean, come on, Simon.
It would appear so.
But on the Farming Podcast, Billy did drop. Billy was the one to drop the first one.
I didn't even realize I did it until Simon said something.
Yes, you did.
But I think it was because, and the reason I dropped it
It's because of what I said.
It's because Chris said, I don't want to offend anybody, but it was a black lady. I was like, for God's sakes, you're black. What do you mean you ain't trying to offend
That wasn't
nobody?
quite a for God's sake, actually. It was something else.
Okay.
Hey,
I mean, we have evidence.
I just want to say, man, you talk about seeing a community come together.
Ain't that beautiful?
Dude, I've walked through here and seen so many people I know before we even got here. And the amount of people who are interacting with each other, all this political BS, you can shove it up
You damn straight you can.
and do whatever you want to with it. But when you see a community like this, I bet it's 6,000 people walking this street right now.
Every bit of it.
That's freaking awesome.
We love it. Franklin County. Woo!
Yeah.
So for this segment, of course, if you don't recognize that voice, I don't know how you don't. He was on our last couple of shows, the Appalachian Farmer, Chris Montgomery. Chris, welcome back. I'm glad you could jump back on here with us for a minute.
Thank y'all. Just out here hanging out with the family, walking the streets with my little girl, my wife. She had the mic before we got on here. I thought she was going to hit a beat. And
My wife said she's going.
Oh, I hope you got a ride home if that's the case. If not,
It'd be all right. I can stay at Simon's cabin. That'd be my doghouse.
Roger that.
it'd fit in nice.
It's everybody's doghouse.
So, yeah, it's definitely one of my dog houses. We're also being joined here by Kelly Johnson. Of course, she hadn't jumped on here yet because Don's been hogging the mic all night long. But
he does that all the time.
but he had to go drag you away from Twin Creeks. So,
Look, I found spirits.
hold on. What kind? Now, you're a ghost hunter. What kind of spirits are we talking about now?
Good spirits.
Good spirits.
The one that enters your body.
And talks through me.
Okay.
Sometimes.
And I'll have to hear all about it on the way home.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
It
because
works-
we're here for a Christmas parade. Did you know that?
It works from the inside out.
That's right.
It's not a topical ointment.
It is not.
And, of course, we got Chris on here, a farmer, and also we're being joined by Charles Foster, a longtime friend of mine who's a different kind of farmer. And I'm a huge fan of what he's doing. I'm a huge fan of what he's brought to this community. Foster's General Store. Go ahead. What's the address right there for anybody that needs to know?
17175 Virgil H. Good Highway.
Right outside of Rocky Mount. So if you're heading into Rocky Mount from Boone's Mill or Roanoke, it's going to be right there on the right before you get to that first exit. And
Right opposite the vet place, the veterinarian place on the other side of 220.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
yeah, it's right across the street. It's Franklin Animal Shelter or whatever it is. Yeah,
No, it's not Franklin. It's...
Franklin something.
Anyway, there's a vet place on the other side of the street. Something like that.
So Charles has got a great story. So I'm going to let him tell it. But he used to be a lineman?
I was a lineman for 21 years.
And tell people a little bit about what the hell a lineman does, because I don't think they can quite appreciate the shit that you go through.
He got tired of climbing poles and decided to get high a different way, man.
Exactly. That's right.
That was beautifully put, Chris.
He said, "Why climb the pole when I can light it on fire?"
Here we go.
It's starting off the way we need this. So. But no, Charles, he hit me up about 5 or 6 months ago and said, "Man, I'm back in town. I got this going on. Went by and checked out, and I like it, man." So tell us all about, kind of what you did and why you did it, because we're here to support local businesses and tell everybody about them. And I'm a huge fan of Charles for a lot of reasons. But what brought you back into Franklin County from running the lines?
I traveled for 21 years, and for the last 10 years, my wife and my kids traveled with me. They was homeschooled and everything, and they didn't really know nobody but adults. So me and my wife got together and said, let's go home, set some stomping grounds, let the kids go to school, this, and that. And we set a date, and we made it. We told them to kiss their ass, and out the door we went.
And so you came back here, and the general store, that's been in your family for a while, correct?
No, we had nothing to do with the old one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, that's no relations whatsoever.
No,
that was
that
just a coincidence.
That was Wanda.
Yeah, it's Wanda and what, Bill? Wanda and Bill?
Yeah,
Foster, I think.
yeah.
I thought Wanda was your cousin. Or
That's a different one.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
it's
I remember
different.
Wanda from church back in the day, different
No, that's
one.
a different one.
She was pretty good looking back in the day. I mean, I ain't seen her in probably 20 years, but she was probably 10 years older than us at the time. I thought she was pretty good looking. You know what I mean? I had a cool crush on her. But
Mean as hell.
yeah, oh God, I had to have been.
Billy.
Hey, she run around with my Uncle Mike and crap, what's his name? He lives down there in Glade Hill. Used to run VDOT down there, and that was a rough bunch. And she could hang with the best of them. They would give her crap, and she would shoot it right back, and they couldn't handle it.
Well, of course not.
I've seen her hit people harder than most men's been hit before.
Really?
She's mean.
Mean as a rattlesnake. I love it.
So with all so Charles, let's talk about your store a little bit. All the new laws and regulations in Virginia now, marijuana cultivation is legal. So you offer all the products you possibly can for anybody that wants to have their own grow operation. Correct?
Correct.
So why'd y'all decide to what put y'all into that venture? Because I know it's you can't really get away with smoking a lot if you're being in the job you're being in. So what brought you back to do it?
Well, my son Hunter, he turned 18, and when he turned 18, he had a trust come to him, and he come up to me and he said he wanted to start a business, just a father and son business. That way, me and him could do something around the house and hang out and enjoy some time together, So we piddled around, thought about the lawn mowing business, getting some lawnmowers, some weed eaters. And like, well, what are we going to do in the wintertime?
Seasonal.
Yeah.
Get away from seasonal.
So it didn't click. And then I was drug tested all the time when I was doing Powerline. So once I quit that a year and a half ago, I went haywire. I was smoking pot, man. And I went there and I never looked back. And Hunter, he told me, he says, there's no place around here to get dirt, growing supplies, tents, lights, anything like that. He said, why don't we just start that out? So we started the store with like 15 grand probably. Bought just a couple tents, a couple Fox Farm nutrients, and it went off. It took off. Man, everybody's loving it. Now, like you say, we got nug smashers. We can pressure run live rosin. We've got dry ice sifters. We've got bubble hash machines. Pretty much anything you need.
Yeah, it's a whole cool operation too, and you know, if you're around Franklin County and you walk into a bar or you walk into an establishment, the bartender is never going to say, "Hey, you want a beer?" without charging you for it. But you walk into Charles' store, "Hey man, you want to take a toke?" You know, and there it is. And he offers it up to I mean, it's one of the most laid back places. I like going in there, not that I smoke because I can't for my job, but I do like going in there for the camaraderie. I like going in there and supporting the local businesses. I like going in there because I've known Charles since we went to church growing up, and I want him to succeed. You know, I really think there's such a crazy misconception about marijuana. Because for the past 100 years, our government had, the reefer madness stuff, and they kind of got off on it 100 years ago, saying, "Oh, if you smoke weed, basically they did it because they said black people would rape white women, and that's why you shouldn't have." And that's essentially what it was. And William Randolph Hearst, he owned all these paper mills and he owned newspapers. Well, hemp can produce, I think, 4 times as much as trees, and it can regenerate, so much faster. So he wanted to kill the hemp business. So what better way to do that than say weed is just going to make you lose your mind and stuff? But it's such a misconception. So many veterans come home from overseas, and weed is the thing that saves them. I don't want to say weed. Weed is such a juvenile term, I guess, but marijuana, whatever you want to call it, because it relaxes you. It doesn't make you act a fool. If you drink liquor, alcohol, or something, you're going to go out there and your emotions are going to get the best of you.
100%.
What are you going to do when you smoke? Happy, hungry, sleepy.
There was a funny thing, actually, and now that you mention it, and it's just triggered a thought process in my mind. Scary thought in itself.
Amen to that.
Well, roger that. There was a Board of Supervisors meeting maybe a year ago, 18 months ago, and I happened to be there for that discussion about legalising the medical marijuana business into whatever outlet they are now. What are they called now?
The dispensaries.
Dispensaries, right? So dispensaries, and the argument came up, and it's an interesting argument because they said, well, we know that Roanoke County and Roanoke City are going to legalise these dispensaries, and I thought, well, that's one step. It's interesting, but they were talking about, on moral grounds, not authorising dispensaries here. And I thought, well, on what basis? Now, if you're going to hit it on moral grounds, you can have that discussion ad infinitum. Okay, so that we won't even go there. But as far as the Board of Supervisors were concerned, I was thinking this is a revenue strain that if you don't allow dispensaries in Franklin County, all you're going to do, once again, as a revenue and a tax stream, and I'll take it purely on that basis alone, we'll take the morality out of it, any discussion on that basis, they were prepared to say, we are not going to do it on moral grounds. Now, your fiduciary responsibility is to create income within the county. So you would deny that income stream, knowing, which is huge, and it's legitimate, even though the federal government, and they've got their heads up their arses, so I ignore them anyway. But you are happy to send your taxpayer revenue into Roanoke County and Roanoke City, where the good citizens of Franklin County are going to put their tax revenue into another county. This is what we're talking about this GDP thing that is very relevant, and then and deny that revenue from the county. Now, purely on a basis of financial, where am I? I'm not.
You drank too much to know where you're going.
I just go off at tangents. But why would you deny an income string, regardless of morality or whatever? The fact that one county's doing it, your adjacent county's doing it, and you're not going to do it.
Well, morality,
you're going to send your income to adjacent counties. Now, that's not what we should be doing.
When morality isn't their place, your morality is individual. You can decide whether, what your morals are, and like I said, and I've been saying this for years, you put a drunk next to a pothead, and a pothead 99 out of 100 times is going to be much more relaxed, much more calm. They're not going to start bar fights. They're not going to go out there and drink and drive, and it's just so. Once again, it goes back to the propaganda we've heard over the years about why it's bad. But
well, medicinally, I think the statistics and facts stand up for themselves. So if you're producing a medical grade, and you can get various strains of marijuana that do one thing, do another thing. There's that working man's weed. There's the one that just relaxes you. There's other ones that. Anyway, there's different strains of all this good stuff, and it's, to me, why are we denying ourselves this?
I'm glad you brought that up. I want Charles to kind of explain to us the different kinds. You know what? For anybody that wants something, we've had Erica from Appalachian Mountain Supply. Yeah, Appalachian Mountain. Sorry, Erica. We've had her on here before, and she kind of talked about this stuff. But Charles, you can kind of elaborate on this though. But you've got indica, sativa, different kind of things. What all, for anybody interested, what all do those different strands do for people?
Oh, if you want to get outside, mow the grass, have a good time, you want the sativa, man. And if you want to just lay around, watch movies, go to bed.
I'm a bit closer to the mic.
Hey, if you want to lay around and lay on the couch, watch TV, snuggle up with the old lady, you want like an indica or something like that, more rest, relaxation type thing.
So you can tweak all of these various strains with various percentages of what's the. I know Billy. If Billy was, if he was about to crack a beer,
let me do it for you, Simon.
That's the one. That's the one. So you've got these various strains that can do various things, and you've got percentages of. Do you put percentages of the THC? Because the THC is the element that either gets you just completely leveled, or it gets you functional, or it can get you passive. The THC content is actually a very sophisticated measure of what you're producing. So certain seeds will give you a certain strain of THC.
Oh yeah.
Now, how in tune are you with the production to be able to put a THC percentage against what you grow? Because it's a chemical combination here that people need to know about.
Yeah, we actually have a THC tester too at the store where
There
you can
you
bring your bud in and we can test it. We can give you the THC content, the CBD content, the moisture content, and the water activity level.
Can I butt in for just a minute? So I'm kind of in the same boat as Billy. I carry a CDL, so I don't smoke.
You can't.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. They would jack a gel up and put us underneath of it if we popped positive for a drug test. But listening to y'all talk about the different strains and whatnot, I don't drink like I used to since I've gotten married and had a little girl, but alcohol, put that back down, Simon.
As a guy who's been passing around
easy but when I in my wilder days, I've never really been a fighter off of alcohol. There is some alcohol that'll make me want to fight.
Tequila.
Well, see, tequila is the opposite for me. I become a lover and a dancer off tequila. And
shake it, baby.
And you get to the shine, and it's let's just have a good time. Let's run from the law, let's do some crazy stuff, but nothing to get hurt. And then and then beer would be my mowing the grass or making hay. Out there in the hot sun, you want something cool and refreshing. Beer is, that's and I've never really been a big marijuana person, but I don't hold that against nobody. It's different strokes for different folks.
But you're talking about the same level of I can cut the grass or I can
That's right.
Impairment.
That's right.
Impairment.
That's right.
So explain to me a little bit about the difference between the THC content and CBD, because I think it's a case of educating the people about CBD oil, for example, that can be very calming, it can help you sleep, and there's all that good stuff. And anxiety. It's a medicine.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
My son, he's autistic, and he's got Asperger's disease, and he's been medicated since he was 2 years old, and he's 19 now. And he started fooling around, experimenting. He come off of his medicines. He ain't been on his medicine, and he's a totally different kid now. He talks to people like you wouldn't believe him. Normally he'd be set up in the corner, just silent, not moving. But now, like if you come into the store, he's the first one to greet you and the first one to tell you bye.
So it works for him.
Oh, absolutely.
So that
And he's
should be
also
a
off
statement.
of pharmaceutical meds too. He's on something
And that's a
natural.
great thing.
It's natural.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Stick it to Big Pharma.
That's big pharma. Get out the way, because I think what you're introducing is a medication,
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
and I think we've got to look at it as a medication. I think there's an element of control is required, but nonetheless, let's view it as a medication.
Self-control.
That's right. That's all the control you need.
Yeah, if we can view it as a medication, I think we're in a better place.
Well, you can use it. You can view it as a medication. You also can view it as just something that relaxes. If you want to go home and just wind down at the end of the day, you can sit there and hit a bowl. You can smoke a joint or something. Like it can be used for.
Don't eat a whole gummy. All right, I did that, y'all. It's not a good idea. Don't eat the whole gummy.
She said, "What's up?"
First time out.
What happened, Don? Tell us a story, because I know you probably had to hear about it.
I'm sitting there and I bought
He
some-
experienced that story.
and I turn around and look on the couch. She's sitting over chewing, reading the bottle, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Huh? I ate a gummy. How much did you eat? A whole one? I'll see you tomorrow."
Look, I ate gummy bears all the time. It was natural. It was a natural reaction.
Now, can I just say one other thing? We're sitting here, and we're not high. We're not drunk.
Speak for yourself.
I thought it was because somebody just went by the window carrying a goat.
Did that just happen?
It's Franklin County.
Yeah.
I would be more
There's
surprised.
a
if they
part of
did.
me that's going, that's freaking awesome. Somebody went by carrying a goat. It had the little bulb necklace on, flickering. So yeah.
So you're the paranormal guy, right?
Yeah, but trust me, I saw a goat.
and he just met Charles too, so he's not high either. So.
yeah, trust me, it was a goat.
Look, I just wanted to go away from farming for a minute. Maybe you could help explain something to me.
All right.
So me and my sister, 1994, we lost our mom and our dad the same night. She got married 8-9 years ago, and almost every photo of me walking my sister down the aisle, there's a shadow.
Behind you?
Yes.
Yes.
And some people that knew my dad said that they couldn't get this image out of their mind that my dad was there the whole time.
Yeah.
Very
good possibility. I mean, it's, they walk with us every day.
Yeah.
I got a picture on my phone that I took a picture inside of my own home. And it was funny because she's the first one that saw this and sent me a picture of it one time. And I was like, you could see a clear image of a head looking around the bedroom door, looking at her on the couch. So I'm like, okay, there's a good chance there's, that's either my mother or it's my little cousin Samantha. We lost her at a young age. So I was, we had gotten married. She had went over to her mom's house. I'd got off the mower, drank a cold beer, and I'm sitting in the house going, started taking a few pictures around the house. So I took some pictures, and I kept blowing the picture up, looking at it, and I'll show it to you. A perfect outline. You can see the head, shoulder, arm down on the hip, as if it's just standing in the bathroom area looking straight out at me. And when I sent the picture to her, she just freaked out. Said, "I told you there was somebody in this house." Yes, my mom. That's exactly the way she stood. So,
what's your interpretation of and I've seen and when you get pointed something out, you'll look at something, you'll look at a picture, and you don't think anything of it. That's a great photograph. And then someone will point out there's an orb. What is the orb thing about?
Because you should listen to his show. Him and Kelly explained this.
Well, I mean,
but we're going to explain it again now. But go back and listen to that show. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, orbs are the most
overrated,
misconstrued.
There you go. Better word.
For paranormal activity and photos. Our camera phones, digital cameras, I mean, they don't know the difference between a speck of dust with flash. It's nothing but light play.
Right.
Now, we do have a picture of a pure orb, we call it.
Closer to the mic.
I'm hearing myself.
Speak louder.
Speak louder. Speak louder. But, we do have a picture of an orb. I got a picture of my phone. I'll show it to you. But an orb just has a certain look. Now, we did investigate a house right before Halloween started. And we actually got video of 2 orbs in the video.
Manifesting. They actually, as we're videoing, they come right into the camera and you watch them take
so
their
they're
course.
moving. This isn't just a still shot. You've now got a video of something going on. Okay.
Yeah, dust and air will travel a certain direction and maybe change a slight direction, but when an orb is just all over the place. And it's took us a long time, because when we first got doing this, we would take a picture somewhere and we're like, holy hell, look at all the orbs. No, it's dust. I love the people who start, a group up nowadays. They all dress all, gothic, and they want to go out and stand in a cemetery snapping pictures going, look at all the orbs. No, your flash is reflecting off dust.
Right. Fair enough. So it was a still shot. You've got to have a certain amount of cynicism about what an orb, or an orb that you've captured. But if it's on video, we may have something different.
That's right.
Okay, that's cool. I understand.
So, as somebody who's got Cherokee blood in him, probably the closest thing I'll ever come to experiencing something paranormal is on peyote.
You see the size of them
I knew it was coming.
I'm a big fan of Longmire on Netflix, and dude, that stuff. If it wasn't for me knowing that I haven't had peyote, I'm sitting here trying to figure it out, and I'm like, whoa. But so coming back to peyote, I feel like, that's a ritual type of thing for Native Americans. As a farmer, I always wondered if they looked for ways to improve the quality of their peyote.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Look what they do with marijuana.
Which brings me, it brings me right back into wanting to talk to you about improving your quality and some of the products and the organic material that you use, because as a farmer myself, I'm a beef producer, and I'm always wanting to find a cheaper way to raise quality beef so that I can be competitive on the market. I just went to it was a 2-day seminar. It's a new business in the county, and they had a 2-day seminar. The first day I was moving corn. We had excess amount of corn. I wasn't taking it to Henry Law's place, I promise. But So the second day I went, and so the business is Innovation Soil Solutions, and it's basically compost. I'm sure it's got some other stuff that makes it this stuff, but it's humus is what they're calling it, and it's all organic matter broke down. And to hear these guys talk about this stuff, it's unbelievably good for your grasses, your plants, your land. And being in Franklin County, we have a lot of clay, and this stuff is, it's topsoil in a way, but they also have what they call humus extract, and it's all about your plant health. And I'm sure you guys deal with that all the time. If you have a plant that's not doing healthy, it's not going to produce a very good bud. And so this stuff, dude, is mind blowing to look at the pictures that they had. And as a dairy farmer producing corn crop, and to hear another dairy farmer say, yeah, when we put an application out, and some of the field got some of it, some of it didn't, and we went and pulled a sample side by side where it got it and where it didn't, and could feel the difference in the corn. It makes me wonder, are y'all looking into more organic?
Oh yeah, most definitely. We use a lot of one of our biggest sellers is something from Fish Head Farms. It's actually called fish shit.
Yeah.
It's tilapia shit that's been composted pretty much. It's super concentrated stuff. It's like 3 milliliters to a gallon. It's nothing but microbes, and pretty much all it does is break stuff down in the soil so your plants can eat it faster.
Hydroponics with using the fish shit that then is somehow extrapolated into the water that you feed the plant is probably going to be a very efficient way to produce a really good crop.
Oh, most definitely. It's huge. They said when getting back.
So is it hydroponics?
Hydroponics with water.
What's the one where you're using it through a fish tank? Aquaponics.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
But the fish shit, they're actually looking for farmers to start using their product as well. I can give you my rep's number. You can get with them, dude. He'll give you a sample where you can try it.
Okay.
On our side with the pot and stuff, the fish shit, it increases your terpenes, your flavors by like 25%.
That's what I was wondering.
That's
yeah.
significant.
Yeah. Adam, I mean, so as a so when you use commercial fertilizers, it's poisoning your soil. It is straight up. There's no other way to say it. Using your herbicides and everything, it's poisoning your soil.
That's right.
And so going organic is something to really consider.
We're going to be forced to.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you look at fertilizer prices. I mean, liquid nitrogen, dude. We paid like 3 times what we paid last year, and so this is just off the top. Like I said before, I don't have I have access to them, but I don't know them. But if you pay $100 for a gallon or 2 gallons of liquid nitrogen, and it's now $300 for a gallon, dude, that's you talking about putting people out of business straight up. You can't afford it.
You can't afford it.
No.
And your yield, if you don't use it, is going to drop significantly.
But that's where we've gotten away. We've gotten away from letting God and Mother Nature take care of our land for us.
Amen.
And that's so. To be exactly honest with you, our herbicide, our Roundup, was almost, I think it was like $250 for 2.5 gallons.
Wow. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. And that's why I'm kind of glad I got you and Charles both on this show, because in a way you're both farmers. And I know what Charles does and what you do are significantly different. But you brought up a good point about how particular that if you're growing your own crop when it comes to marijuana, like there's a lot of, there's a lot of science that goes into that. You know what I mean? A lot of science that can be, used on the farming side of things, on the growing side of things, like you using what you know and you're building a better product, And I know that if you smoke weed, and for the longest time there's been a terrible stigma about it, about you don't know what you're doing, and this is, Charles and his boy are two of the smartest people I know from what they do in that store, at what they do. And to take what he does and be able to apply it to other things like farming, growing, or anything like that, like those are things we need to be paying attention to. Like if he could do the things he does with marijuana, imagine what he could do with corn and with beans and with potatoes or whatever the hell it may be. You know what I mean? Like these minds all need to come together and find ways to all better our life, and there's a phenomenal opportunity to do that.
I think there is.
And this podcast is putting so many people in touch with each other. Like I messaged Billy, was it last night? We was messaging back and forth a little bit. I said, dude, I've gotten a call from Texas. I've gotten a call from...
That must have been Caleb Flora.
It was Caleb Flora. I answered
got me too
it.
today.
Look, my phone was in my pocket. I hit the answer on my Bluetooth, and he was like, "What's up, buddy?" And I was like, "Caleb freaking Flora, what are you doing,
from
bud?"
West Texas.
And he was like, "Man, I'm getting ready to go to this Thanksgiving dinner." He said, "Just got done listening to the podcast." He said, I was a little too tore up to do it the last time I was up there.
Yeah, he was.
He was like, "But we're gonna do it again."
We're gonna release that 30 minutes at some point in time because it was
I don't know how you can release it, mate. Look, he was
Patreon.
But so to bring you back, we were talking, and I was listening to Charles talk about, being able to test the quality of the bud and the THC and everything. So I was sitting in this seminar, and this guy's talking, and he says, there's this guy working on this. He wants to be able to put it on an app on your phone, and you will be able to go into the grocery store and scan your produce, and it will give you the quality of your produce. And I couldn't help myself, and I was thinking it to myself, and out loud I said, the federal government will never allow that to happen.
not a chance.
That man will be dead before it is ever patented. You look at the two guys that come out with the water engines, what was it, 1980 something? 2 weeks before his was ready to go patent, come up dead. And what was it? Just a couple years ago, another guy was getting ready to put another patent on it. He come up dead. If you think that the federal government is going to allow an app to be put on your phone where you can test the quality of your vegetables before you buy them, so you can scan them and say, well, this one's higher in protein, and buy that one. If you think the federal government is going to let you do that and get away with it,
well,
you're smoking some of Charles's best stuff. That's all I can say.
And it's funny you should mention that. There was a study done back in 1930, and Jonah, one of the previous guys that came on and had a little chat with us.
And you talking about smart. Jonah is very smart.
As smart as a tank.
And mechanically
You better say challenge.
inclined. Inclined is the word I'm looking for.
He sent me an article from 1930 about the degradation of the soil and how that has affected the minerals that we can get from our vegetables, and that was suppressed, and it has been suppressed.
Let me guess, by the federal government.
By the federal government.
FDA.
Well, the FDA and the USDA. I mean, please come through this door. I've got a surprise for you.
You ain't the only one.
But that dates back to the 1930s. So there was a study that proved that the soil deprivation directly affected the minerals that we were receiving from our vegetables or crops.
Well, all those chemicals lock those minerals up.
Yes, they do.
And it won't let our bodies allow to process that and use it. Like Thad was saying, everything that a cow produces, all the nutrients and the minerals and everything goes through her liver and is stored there. Well, think about all the disabilities and mental incapacities that our kids have today. I mean, when you're pumping your meat or your pot full of chemicals, GMOs and hormones and everything, it's going to have a negative effect on our bodies. Billy, your mom's saying she's ready to eat.
She's going to be the next one on here real quick. So,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, she might be on for 5 minutes. She's going to get on here, though. I'm telling her to stay.
But, I just seen that it was one of the presidents. I can't remember which one it was, but he put out something about people who poison their lands will kill themselves. I think Woodrow Wilson. Does it
that wouldn't surprise me.
He's the worst president probably in the history of this country. So maybe he didn't say that. It could have been somebody. If he did say it, that's probably the only redeeming
he was
quality.
looking too poisonous.
He was the worst.
I can't remember exactly who, but it was a president that he said basically he said they who poison their lands will poison themselves or kill themselves. But it's a true statement. I mean, look at all the health issues we've got today. It's a direct link. It's got to be.
Well, some of the direct link to the issues that we got with food allergies, peanut, nut oil, whatever the hell else is out there, really comes down to the inoculations and vaccines that have been pumped through our kids from the 1960s onwards, and we're only seeing the development of these really life-threatening allergies to our kids.
And it was all done in the name of
Science.
Safety and science.
Safety and science.
Where have we heard that one before?
We've all got a question.
If you question me, you're questioning science. I am science.
Sounds like Dr. Fauci needs a right kick in the ass.
Well,
good night, Fauci, by the way.
Well, I think it's what a phenomenal world we live in where we can sit around a table with a ghost hunter, a pot farmer, and a dairy farmer, and all have a conversation that all manages to mesh well.
And a beef farmer.
And a beef farmer, yeah. And I've got so much respect for everybody sitting at this table. Before we get out of here, Charles, I think what you're doing for this town is phenomenal. I think you being the first one to the table is going to work phenomenal things for you. And I know many times we've ran ads for your place for nothing more than I know you're a good person. Charles ain't never given me a dime. I've never asked for a dime from him, and I don't want to because he's a friend. I've known him forever, and I want people to go by, and I want them to sample what he's got. I want to let them know that if you want to go by there, he's going to set you up with the right stuff to grow the exact thing that you need. If you have anxiety, he's going to set you up. If you just want to relax, he's going to set you up. If you got this or this or this, whatever it is, go in there, talk to him. You're not going to find anybody better. And I wanted you to talk real quick before we get off here. You've got a new thing going on a couple doors down from your current thing, which is going to be kind of a membership club thing for hanging out and smoking. Can you talk about that real quick before you go?
Yeah, me and my buddy Kelvin, we're going to start up we just actually got the quote and everything today. So as of right now, everything's it's a 100% go. As January is going to be the opening date, we're going to start up a place called Peace of Mind. It's going to be like a private membership place where you can come by in the morning time, smoke a joint before you go to work, stop by on the weekends, have donuts and dabs, come play pool, play pool. We'll have all the newest bongs, smoking equipment there where you can rent with your membership and stuff.
So you telling me you'll be open at like 3:30 in the a.m.?
If you want to be there, I'll be there with you. I'll open the door for you.
I said dairy farmers.
But yeah, that's what's going on, and it's probably going to open up like around September. It's called Peace of Mind. He's got a page on Facebook.
How did you overcome maybe what I saw 15, 18 months ago was really the Board of Supervisors were really not looking to do that. So you've overcome that
Well, we're kind of the gray areas. We're kind of going in.
You know what? Do what you got to do.
We're going in more as along the lines of like a Moose Lodge, VFW, something to that.
You have to
nature.
pay a membership, so you can got to get around that kind of
It might end up being a bed and breakfast.
You never know. But that's the way we're going with it. That way it eliminates a lot of the hiccups and shit like that.
You can give them a gummy.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're
Gummy
gonna have
bear.
gummies there. We might do like infused drinks.
Simon, they gonna have you in the corner. Gummies here. Get your gummies here.
I do have a story.
But that place is actually gonna be where you was talking about Daisy's. It's gonna be right there where Daisy's is.
Okay.
It's gonna be in that building.
I had an experience back in the day. This is why am I telling this? Who cares? It was in the Cayman Islands, and I made some brownies, and I thought, and I'd never really got into edibles, so I made some brownies, big tray of brownies, cut them up into probably about 12. I thought, well, I'll give one a shot, see what happens. And not being experienced in brownies, I have the first one. I don't know much. It was a chocolate brownie. It was quite delightful.
I like how Englishmen use words like delightful. In America, we say bad.
And this is going back over 20 years.
If he was Southern, he'd say, that darn thing was awesome.
It was awesome. So I had the first one. I thought, wait, that was pretty good, but I'm not feeling anything. Because I wasn't experienced in the delayed action of it. Well,
there's a time lapse.
I may have been a tad impatient.
A lot like tequila, eh?
Well, rather. So I thought, well, I'll have a second one. I had the second one, and I thought, well, that still tasted pretty darn good. I'm still not feeling anything. Well, damn, what am I going to do here?
Eat a third one.
Roger that. As I ate the third one, the first one kicked in.
How many did you get to, Simon?
Well, I'm coming to that. Now, being a scuba diver in the Cayman Islands, I was a fairly poor character. I lived on tequila and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the best part of a year. So I lived fairly frugally. So I got the third one in, and the first one kicked in. I went, oh Lord, what's going on here? Oh shit, I'm hungry. I've got 9 more. I ended up eating the whole tray.
Oh my God.
Because I got particularly peckish.
And you live to tell about it. That's a good thing.
Just about.
You ate the whole thing.
I ate the whole tray.
Almost as bad as being drunk, ain't it?
Well, it was just phenomenal. And I managed to stagger outside. And I just, I collapsed in front of a tree and was looking at this tree, thinking what a wonderful thing it was. And sure as hell, John Lennon came out of the bark of that damn tree.
I thought you were going to say you started stabbing sharks.
No, thankfully I wasn't Actually, I was fairly close to water. Why did I share that? Anyway,
Hey, I want to be on the. I want to do the podcast with you where you share about running from the law on the horse cart.
Oh.
Where you evaded the.
It was a helicopter.
The helicopter. Dude.
We're gonna get to that one.
I damn near pissed myself when you told that story.
I did. I fought the law and I won.
All right, Charles, we're going to let you get out of here.
Charles.
I know you've got a set up over here. You probably got to go take down and everything. But real quick, one more time, where can they find you at? What's your address?
17175 Virgil H. Good Highway in Rocky Mount.
Also, Foster's General Store on Facebook. You're always doing updates on there. And your new operation, it's Peace of Mind on Facebook.
Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind. Go check them out. Look, you're going to be supporting local. You're going to be supporting people that we enjoy and people that we endorse. And, I love Charles to death. He's been a great guy as long as I can remember. I'm super glad he came back to town and decided to do what he did, him and his son. I really appreciate what they're doing. I like stopping by there and hanging out with them. It's kind of like Boland's Place, but for potheads. So you go in there and you just talk, you hang out, you have a good time, and everybody's always just so friendly. I mean, it's just the diversity in there. You're going to meet different people. That's why I like going down there. I like getting a feel for what the community's up to, just different people, you know. And so go check them out. Go give them a follow. And Charles, we're definitely going to get you back on here for a full episode to go more in detail about this stuff. So
cool.
Appreciate the hell out of you coming on here. And we'll catch you next time.
Cool, thank you.
But
so
I
much.
but I did see a lady carrying a goat by. So
Yeah, well, that definitely happens.
Hey, I told you last time when we did a farming episode, Foggy Ridge didn't have a website, and
So Charlie,
we're
Anthony,
looking
another couple
here by at least the end of December to drop a website. Foggy Ridge Cattle Company. Hopefully one day I can get this lady back here making some burgers with using my meat. I had one of her burgers up there at your place, Simon, for the 4th of July. Freaking epic, man. My little girl was licking her fingers like she was eating chicken wings. Well, she may have had some chicken wings. I'm not really sure.
It was that Worcester sauce.
It was that Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Well, it depends on who you are as to what you say it.
It was the best of times. It was the Worcestershire time.
There you go.
But hey,
Mama
Foggy,
Riddle. Mama Riddle.
Foggy Ridge Cattle Company. If you need beef, we sell at quarters, halves, and wholes right now. Hopefully, when we drop our website, we'll be able to do a little bit, some different things. Give me a call, 540-598-6928.
Where you
there
going?
we go.
You leaving?
Yeah, I'm probably in a doghouse. I'm probably making my way to Simon's cabin. Simon, if your cabin lights is on when you get home, just know that it's me.
What's that? Don't shoot.
I'm gonna go try and smooth a few things over with my wife. But I gotta say one thing. I gotta figure out how to explain to my daughter when she gets old enough to understand that Santa and Mrs. Claus is her grandma and grandpa. I gotta figure that one out. Maybe y'all could help me. Hey, with that, love y'all. Hey, with that, love y'all guys. Can't wait to do the next farming podcast. Franklin County, stay moonshine strong.
Thank you so much. All right. All right, we're just going to slide right on to our next segment right here. Turn that mic back on. Now we are being.
Oh, here comes Sheryl.
Look, we're not going to be. We're not going to be long with this segment. Well, for part of this segment because we're bringing on two separate people right here. Sheryl Witcher of Ella's Eats. Sheryl, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get to you here in a second. But we're also talking to the biggest critic of me, which would be my mother.
Quite right,
Rita
too. He needs to curb his language.
Riddle Layman.
I agree.
You need to speak up to the mic if you're going to.
I agree with the language.
Oh, I know. I'm the worst one as well.
Yes, I agree.
My language was always pretty tame until Simon came on board. So we have to really blame this on the English.
Oh, here we go again. And the tea fell off the boat into the harbour, right?
It surely did.
That's what I thought.
So everybody, this right here is my mother, Don and Kelly. This is Rita. Simon, probably the first time you've met her. Sheryl, I know. I'm glad you just jumped on here for a couple of minutes. She is my mother.
You have a lot to answer for, I've got to tell you right now. And you better start shoveling some SH1T pretty quick on this man sat right next to me. Come on, let's go.
Listen, I raised him to be 18, and then after that, hey.
Oh, that's denial.
Yes.
You can't do that.
I will every minute I can.
She can't deny me. She can't. I mean, like as much as she wants to complain, or much as she wants to jump on my case, I am 100%. Well, 50% her. I think maybe more 75% my dad, because
I don't know about that. Not what I'm looking at right now.
I look like her, but she has been my biggest supporter. I just want everybody to come on here and meet her, because if it wasn't for her, I probably would be dead in the ditch somewhere with some meth head, screwing my corpse or something into the ground.
Oh, that's not very good. That's a hell of a vision.
I'm just
by the way,
saying.
Billy.
I'm
For
just
goodness
saying.
sake. Your mother's here, for goodness sake.
Well, I'm just trying to put things into perspective.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of a
Yeah, well, I think she got it.
I think that was.
By the way her mouth fell open, I
she
think
did the
she,
face
think
palm.
she
I don't
understands.
know.
Yeah, think she understands.
So I want you to tell everybody why I'm your favorite son before we get going. I know I love my brother to death and he is awesome, but let's just get down to brass tacks right now. I want you to.
You're seeking brownie points
to
after that.
Say the 5 things that I'm awesome.
Oh, give me 5. Please start with.
Give me 2, actually.
He is the dad to Claire and Benjamin.
Oh, you can at least say I'm a good
the
dad.
2.
I'm a good dad at least. You know.
There's
Well,
2.
That's 2.
Oh, well, that
You
counts
said
after
2.
18. Well, hang about now. This was after he became an 18-year-old and you disowned him. Now, I need to know prior to 18. So now we've got 3 points. I need to know between the birth of Billy the Riddle from 18. Now you need to make 3 points of why he's such a glorious chap. And
You mean
please don't
after
say he's good looking. No,
18 or
before.
before 18?
Oh, between 0 and 18. And please don't say good looks.
Oh my.
Oh, you're under pressure now.
Yes, that's kind of hard when you're
What do you
under
mean you
pressure.
can't find 3 things good to say about me? I mean, come on now.
He was a shining light in your life, perhaps?
No.
He was my first son. Hey, that speaks volume right there.
I'm surprised you had a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy.
Well, that's because I had them both close.
That's still not an excuse. Sorry,
I
that
was young
ruthless.
and stupid. What can I say?
Holy
no.
Oh, this is more like it. This is the kind of stuff we want. So that was 1. First son. Number 2.
It's Billy. You know, he was a good kid. You know, he really was a good kid. I don't know what
Did-
happened after he turned 18, but hey,
I've got a question for
I
you.
prayed a lot. Hey,
Well,
trusted in Jesus, and
He needs it.
yes, he does.
Did he? And I'm going to come back. I'm going to go back to his formative years as an infant. When he had a diaper on, did he poop up the back of it?
Oh, I'm sure he did. At
There
some
we go.
point in
Okay.
time.
There's, that,
I tell you what, he was good at sports. I will say he tried anything and everything: baseball, football, hockey. I mean, he was good at sports. Basketball.
I'm going to touch on knowing that you're a married family man, but then we're talking about pre-18. How was he with the ladies?
Have you seen my wife? You know I'm good with the ladies.
Yes,
Come
I
on
will
now.
say he married
Come
up.
on now.
Yes,
Oh, I definitely
he is
married
a
up.
lucky individual. He is blessed. He's
I
got
think
a
we can read between the
beautiful,
lines on that one.
talented wife. Yes.
That was ruthless. Thank
Look,
you.
I'm getting roasted right now, and I can
Good.
appreciate
You deserve it.
Oh, there we. That's more like it. That's what we want to hear. Absolutely. Throw him to the curb and under the bus. Drive over him twice.
No, well, my mom, she's always been my biggest supporter and also my biggest critic at the same time. So if you can put that into perspective, you kind of get, and you know.
She's challenged. You are challenged.
Have you met my brother yet?
Yes.
Then you know how challenged he is. I may walk in the park, and I love my brother to death, but me and him, but I mean, we're 2 sides of the same coin, but we're night and day at the same time. God bless my mom for putting up with the 2 of us. That's all I can say.
Amen.
Because honestly, at the end of the
You're a saint.
Amen.
A saint doesn't even begin to describe it. What she has had to deal with over the years, I'm sure, honestly, the good Lord up above is probably like, God, I wish he would stop praying so much for the. I mean, he is probably tired of hearing it because if it wasn't for her, though, probably wouldn't have made it home from Iraq. You know, probably wouldn't be in the situation I'm in. Probably wouldn't have it as good as I am because at the end of the day, I always wanted to make her proud of me.
There you go.
So, you know, I would probably hold off doing some of the debauchery that I may have done because it's like, man, what would my mom think about this? And, you know, and you know, I grew up,
It's
you
so
know.
deep, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate. you know, my mom and dad, you know, they split up at a very early age for me, and I don't even remember how it affected me, but apparently it affected me, you know, like it would any other kid. But I love my parents both, and they both actually stayed, what's the word I'm looking for? They didn't make it about themselves. They always made it about us. They didn't let their.
So you did it right.
Exactly.
And that's that's a statement in itself.
And it could have went a lot of different ways. Fortunately, she married, you know, into the German Baptist. Oh, not married into the German, but my stepdad was in it. That's how me and Amos got to be such good friends, because I respected my stepdad so much about what he did for us. And after I got to be a little bit older and I kind of went through my progression and I kind of dated people that had kids that weren't mine, I really realized what a sacrifice my stepdad made for us, because it's really hard to put time and effort into a kid that's not yours. Mm-hmm. And for him to stick around and put up with that kind of, and to put up with us, you know, it really made me into the person I am. And I had
actually, Billy, to put up with you.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But
that's a testament. That's a testament to good parenting.
It really is, you know, because, you know, not everything always works out, but you always got to make the best of what you have. And, you know, if she hadn't married Darren, who knows where we'd be at, because he's another one in my life that I always wanted to make proud, you know, and that's why I named my son after him. That's why I named my son after Amos, because, you know, those two are so comparable to me, and they've taught me so much about who I am. You know, I wish to God I would have paid more attention when I was younger, when he would take me up there and doing the electric and the plumbing stuff. I really wish, you know, I was more worried about whatever else I was going to do or sports, and I was just up there trying to make money. I wish I would have taken that knowledge and kept it inside, and I'd be a little bit smarter about who I was.
But you did in a way.
To some degree, maybe on the morality side. Yep. But, you know, that's what gave me the relationship with Amos. That's why I respected him so much, and I look up to him as a brother, because
he's a good man.
It really is. And Chris, the same way. He grew up in the German, you know, these people, you know, there's a difference in them, and I don't think a lot of people can understand it, but it really put me in a position to be right here, right now, and to be able to have the confidence to do what I do. Look, it's not really easy to sit in front of a microphone and spill your guts out. And it's really not easy to spill your guts out when your mom is listening every single episode, too. And she's wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But, you know, at the end of the day, I appreciate her for everything she's done. And
God bless you, Mum.
And for being somebody that, you know, that stood by me no matter how many bad decisions I made. And I hope and pray that I can continue to use what she has taught me to apply it to my own children.
That's what
and
good
I try
parents
and be
do,
there,
mate.
and I try and be a good dad for them, no matter how tough it gets, no matter, you know, how irritated I get, because marriage is really difficult, especially when you got two young kids. It is hard. It is really, really hard. And me and my wife, we collide quite a bit. We still love each other, and you know, I get that from my mom. You know, I get that from, you know, you've got to suck it up and go through the hard times, because at the other end, it's all going to be gravy. And
you got two beautiful kids.
I do, and I don't know where they came from. I guess they definitely came from Tara's side, because I'm as ugly as sin.
Or say they're good looks, then.
They got their good looks from everybody but me. I'm the ugliest person on both sides of the family. Like, it's mind-boggling to me. I guess it's just the DNA, but you know, like, focus on family. You know, be there and be supportive and appreciate what you have. Go see your mom, go see your grandparents, because it's not always going to be there forever. And that's one thing, as I've gotten older, I've realized that, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but
go on.
My mom was right so many times.
Hallelujah, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. I thought I would never hear those words.
Can you say that? Can you say that one more time, Billy?
I will even throw in another caveat. My mom was right, and my wife has been right so many times too. So I'm going to go ahead and throw both of those in there.
I hope this is recorded so we can repeat it several times when we need it.
It is, and it will be.
Don't worry, you've got witnesses.
But
good.
It is recorded, and I'm hoping that sometime I get my mom on here for a full episode as well, because I like to really sit down with her and her brother and sister, you know, Becky and Ronnie, my aunts and uncles, and sit down with my grandma here soon, because if anything, the Auburn Williams episode and the Paul Rafford episode, you know, Auburn Williams, if you haven't listened to that show, go back and listen to it. We recorded a show with him and his phenomenal stories back in August, and he recently passed here in the past couple of weeks. And the reason we did that show was because Chris Williams, and God bless him for all he's done for this show, he reached out to us and said, I really want you to come tell my dad's story because he's only got 6 to 8 months left, and I really want this recorded. And I took that as a huge compliment that you would ask me to come tell your dad's story. And we're not going to be around here forever. I'm not going to be around here forever, but hopefully my kids and my grandkids can listen to these shows and learn a little bit something from them. And that's why I want to get my mom and my uncles and my grandma on here too, so my kids have something to listen to someday, and their kids have something to listen to see where we all came from. So
it was kind of interesting listening to you talk to Henry Law, because he just grew up right down the road from us. So it's pretty ironic, funny, but
yeah,
I'm excited to hear what he had to say when I go back and listen.
That was a great segment.
Yes, it was.
I'm really happy about that. I'm really glad we got to have him on here. Because like I said, Henry was a different kind of cat, and I'm sure if 25, 30 years ago, if I'd have told my mom, "Hey, I'm gonna go hang out with Henry and them," she said, "On my life, you ain't gonna do nothing like that." But when you go down the line and you get a little bit older, you kind of see that there's a lot of great qualities that the Laws had. Maybe you might not agree with what they did. If you go to church and stuff, you might not agree with the bootlegging, but you can agree with their spirit. You can agree with the fact that they are going to stand up for themselves and they're going to stand up for their families. And at the end of the day, that's what you have to do.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. So, Mom, I'm going to let you get out of here and go get something to eat. I know you're hungry. I appreciate you coming on here. We'll get you on here
It's
again.
nice meeting y'all.
Tell
Nice
more
meeting you,
stories
Mom.
about me. So, yeah. Take care, Lori. Thank you so much for keeping here. Now let's.
Now we got Sheryl.
Now we've got Sheryl, and
Come on.
and, we have wanted Sheryl on this show for an awful long time. Just turn that mic off, Frank. I'm sorry. I should just say it at this point in time. Nobody cares. We know what we're doing. Just so we don't get the feedback or anything. Or Philip's coming back in here. Maybe he just wants to sit down too. Philip, you gonna sit down? Oh, come on, man.
Have you found a big cup yet, Philip?
I'm good, but thank you.
I think I got it.
So now, and I've wanted Sheryl on the show for an awful long time as well, because she has one of the most phenomenal food trucks you're going to find anywhere. You go there, and I'm going to tell you right now, the loaded baked potato, you're not going to find anything better than that. She'll take the biggest baked potato you can find. She's going to clear out the guts in it. She's going to sop it around. She's going to throw sour cream, butter, salt, pepper, barbecue in it. She's going to serve it back to you, and your mouth is going to have an orgasm. So
Sold.
yeah. Sheryl, thank you so much for joining us here.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
No problem. So,
And where's the food truck? Because we haven't had dinner yet.
So right now I am by the harvester. Actually, right now I am set up.
I met Sheryl. I met Sheryl a couple of times actually, without really knowing who Sheryl was. Just by force of circumstance, she was at the Chaos Brewery, and then she came up and did the July 3rd bash.
Yes.
And knocked it out of the park. I mean, all right, so we were all rat-faced drunk by the end of it.
Doesn't
Just
matter.
saying, doesn't matter. What you knocked out there was phenomenal. Everyone's talking about Cheryl's Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Oh my God. I love you, Sheryl.
I love you more.
And the funny thing is about Sheryl coming up to our place, our farm in Callaway, is that she got to realise that the cabin that was originally located in Sydneysville and has a rich history in Sydneysville, and she thought, and thankfully I met the lady that you were with last week at Chaos, funnily enough, who is direct family of the original owners, and the lady that owned this cabin, who was a former, she was a black lady, a former, I think she was the daughter of a former slave that lived to the age of 106 or 116, depending upon which record that you choose. I've got the documentary evidence of this.
holy hell, if it's 116, I want to. I want her DNA.
Well, she was a phenomenal lady by all accounts, and she had 10 kids in this cabin, and it's not an extensive cabin by any stretch, but the fact that Sheryl came up, did the food truck, we were all rat-faced drunk, and then things started to click, and she goes, well, we were talking about the history of the cabin, and Sheryl swings around and she goes, I think I know who the original family is that used to own this, and they'd been looking for this cabin and realised or thought that it had just been ploughed down, burnt down, gone from the original Sidnersville site. And it's actually my cabin.
Yes, absolutely. So my best friend of 28 years is his great-great-grandmother whose cabin that this was, or they resided in this cabin. So pretty unique to kind of find that and kind of connect the family back to that.
We're looking to host them at some
right.
point.
So yeah, we're going to try to get the whole crew up there at least to get a picture, just to kind of keep the history book going on this cabin. But it was a really, really neat experience.
And it was all around a food truck and probably lots of Franklin County's finest. It was awesome. And I'm chuffed to bits because, number one, I love Sheryl. She's got a food truck. She's got a business drive and a product that is just smoking hot. I mean, you can't get any better than Ella's Eats. I've got to tell you, if you see Ella's Eats food truck anywhere, and she trucks it around, just go there and get some damn good tucker.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. I want to get back to her here in a second because we're welcoming another guest on the show right here. He just popped in. And this is somebody, once again, we've had a lot of people jump on the show tonight that were former guests. We've had a lot of people jump on the show that are people who are trying to get on the show. And it always doesn't work out like you want it to because, things happen and life comes at you how it does. But you still have it in the back of your mind. And I probably got 5 people out there that I desperately have been wanting to get on the show and find the right time to do it. And now we're being joined by one of them, Greg Jaymes, who also has another podcast in this town that I suggest everybody go listen to. It's called the GJBeat Podcast, and he's got some great guests on there. From Jacob Gibson. My favorite one is Jacob, and panhandling musician and guy who plays music on the corner of Williamson and Hirschberger for tips, Josh Grice. And that's how I kind of got to know him too. So Greg Jaymes.
You are so ruthless. Poor Josh.
Trash truck driver.
Trash truck driver, yes. And
he's a road sweeper,
Government Indoctrination Center warden.
He's a road sweeper.
He is. So Greg, thank you for jumping in here and jumping on the show with us. We're going to get to both of y'all here. But I want to get to Sheryl first since she was here. Now, Sheryl, I want everybody to know, I'm not trying to put you out, Sheryl, at all, but what is your height? You're like 5'3"?
Not quite there. I'm actually 5 foot even.
Okay, 5 foot even. I want y'all to know that she was one of the most phenomenal basketball players in Franklin County history. If you want to talk about somebody to go out there at her size and dominate the way she did, you're not going to find anybody else that did it. Sheryl could go out there and she could ball.
It was all about the people's elbow, mate.
Back in the day, yes. Back in the day when we were in high school, our girls' basketball team would have great crowds because of Sheryl, because her and, God almighty, we had Lewis Witcher and Devon Taylor. Devon and Sheryl were kind of 2 peas in a pod because I guess you both ran point.
Right.
And they weren't very, very tall, but you want to talk about action, like phenomenal, like basketball players. So that's how I've known Sheryl forever for that reason. And she's also close to my family, the Angles and everything like that. But you made your way out to Vegas because you were telling me about that not too long ago. But
yes.
You made your way back to Franklin. What brought you back here to this bum? Can I say no?
No, you can't.
To this backwoods ass hillbilly town. What brought you back here?
It's home. Vegas was never my speed. It was just an opportunity that arose at the time, just because with my wife, she was traveling out there and things like that. So it was just an opportunity that was there at the time. But we always for me, always knew that Franklin County was my roots and where I wanted to be. You know, a lot of people, you know, you look at a lot of kids around my age that, you know, I've never lived in Franklin County. I don't want to live there. Like, this is home for me. I love the people. I love the town. I love everything about Franklin County. So, you know, as long as I'm here, you know, alive, this is definitely where I want to be. So.
Well, I find that, I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad because one of the big things Simon and I have been about here is people coming back home, people staying home, people investing into a home community because, you know, Simon and I have been dragged through the mud. You know, about 2 months ago, we did a podcast with Brian and Darnell. And
both were here, by the way.
Both have come through here and said hello.
Yeah.
And they represent Black Lives Matter. And Simon and I were both at the same time called fascists and progressive liberal douchebags for having them on the show. And the bottom line is we want this community to thrive. It does not matter how, it doesn't matter who you are. And when Sheryl brings her family back to this hometown or anybody else brings their family back here to open up businesses, to help this place thrive, that's what we support. We don't really care. You know, none of the rest of it matters. Are you a good person? Or are you a shitty person? If you're a shitty person, go somewhere else. If you're a good person, come back here. And, you know, for Sheryl to come back here, and for a lot of these people who come back and make their way back home, you know, much like I did, you know, it really gives me hope for what we got. And I want to know what brought you to start the food truck business? Because I know that's something a lot of people are interested in, a lot of people want to do, but I know it's not easy. It is hard.
That's the same thing,
It is hard.
So originally I went to school at Radford, so I have an undergraduate degree in education.
Are you, baby?
Worked on my master's at Virginia Tech in health promotion. Kind of left from there and got in the mental health field for about 15 years and kind of got burnt out with that and knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I know I enjoyed cooking. I have a long history of cooking in my family. My grandmother was probably one of the best caterers in this town. She was a caterer. She baked cakes. She did all kinds of stuff. And, you know, I kind of got into it a little bit when she was alive. And at the point when I felt like I had met that burnout point, I knew financially it was something that I could do. What's unique about the food truck is that, you know, a lot of people will go out and buy a food truck that's completely finished and, you know, they can start up. The unique thing about my food truck is that I bought an empty trailer shell with a window in it. And I used to drag my equipment off. I can remember this when I first started. I used to drag my equipment off and pop a tent up. And I could serve out of my truck, but I couldn't cook in my truck. So I'd pop up a tent, pull all this heavy equipment off, and I'd cook outside. And what I did was progressively just save money in increments and did different things to my truck. And it came in stages. So it took me about 8 months from, you know, tugging around on equipment to get to the point where I could get fire suppression and things like that installed, which is probably like a $10,000 cost if anybody's ever considering starting a food truck.
It's very inhibitive.
Yeah, so, you know, did that, finally got fully licensed in January of this year. So we've been rocking and rolling since, you know, but this is my dream. I've got my family on the truck now. I'm looking to hire some more permanent help. You know, because for my family, I found that their dream, you know, my dream and their dream. So kind of makes it a little challenging at times, but definitely going to look for some help, get some new faces on the truck. And I've got a couple of things, other little things in the works, but we won't talk about those yet, but got some other stuff in the works.
Well, the biggest question is, are you happy?
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely. Tired, but happy.
Well, that means you're putting in the time.
Tired, yes.
You've got an awesome work ethic. And you're pushing a product that stands up and it's standalone and it's fucking awesome.
Hold on, whoa.
Oh shit.
You just,
You go double.
Here we
You go double down.
I double down on it.
Thank you, Simon. I appreciate that.
Love you.
Love you more.
All right, so Greg's on here too. Now I want everybody to know, like when I started the podcast, I thought, man, I'm the first one in this town to start one, and then it wasn't very long after I found out that Greg was actually probably the first one to start it. So what in the world motivated you to start a podcast?
I was pretty much around awesome people all the time, and had listened to so many podcasts, and I knew that I could do it, and I wanted to do it, and made up my mind to do so. And then I waited a whole year after I made up my mind to do it, and then we started. I had a lady that I knew who decided she was going to run from the Peaks of Otter all the way back to Roanoke. It's like 50 some miles, and so she did. And I was like, look, you're the first one. So she was the first one. We tried it. We weren't that good at it. Got a lot better. We got a lot better because of this equipment that you told me to buy, and that helped a lot.
Well done, Billy.
And that was good. So
I do serve a purpose from time to time.
so that's how we did it. And we've got, I don't know, I think we've done 46 so far. Could do a lot more if I had more time. I just have kind of
times are hard to say.
Gotten a limited schedule lately with a lot of things.
What do you focus on?
Awesome people. I mean, people think, well, it's a running or a biking podcast. That's not the case. It is.
It's people.
Normally, that's the connection that they have, but then we get into their lives. I mean, that's only a minimal part of that. I don't want to sit and talk about it. I love to run. I run a lot of miles too, but I more or less dig into their life, and that's the best part. That's the most fun. I mean, you can only talk about.
Because those are the stories, right?
Oh yeah, man.
That's where the stories are.
I've had probably the best one we had. If you go back and listen, as far as the downloads and the quality, was Matt Thompson, who his wife is the lady who got killed on the bicycle up in Botetourt back in February. She was hit by a car and killed, and he came on and changed the whole game. He was about 4 or 5 episodes ago, whatever, and phenomenal. Just a really good listen, and to hear a guy who had that happen have that strength and
got through it.
Yeah, we found out not long ago, and which was great. We've become really good friends. He's purchasing Fleet Feet in Roanoke in about, I don't know, a couple of weeks, which is a huge deal, and he's happy. And it's a good story to lead into it, but you'll see his name a lot going forward. We've had a lot of, really awesome people. That's the fun part. I just take a person who I can find an interest in and just do it. And most of the time it works. There's been a time or two that it maybe kind of worked, maybe kind of didn't, but for the most part, it really...
Winging it is definitely the way to go, because you don't know what's in the Jack-in-a-Box.
I hardly have any notes at this point.
We don't do any notes. We might swing round and say, if we can focus maybe on a certain theme here, and then just let it roll. But really, we wing every single show that we got.
Well, and I haven't had any notes in the last several, but mine is more of a one-on-one. So in a one-on-one, all the weight is on my back.
Yes, it is.
But I don't feel it. It comes really natural. Even if I go in, and I don't even know some of the people who come in. They show up at my house, and there are a lot of professionals. We get, there's been, doctors and attorneys and medical, all sorts of.
That's a tough nut to crack, actually, when you think of a one-on-one. Because
it's very difficult.
We bounce back, and we have a laugh, crack a couple of beers, and the whole can of worms comes out, and we just kind of roll with the flow. But it's authentic, and I think what you're doing is probably that same authentic.
We say that
approach.
word a lot, yeah.
And I think a lot of people that listen to shows like this enjoy the authenticity rather than something that's been so bloody scripted that it becomes it becomes flat. So anyway,
your voice is starting to go, I think, because
I'm probably drinking too much.
That's probably it.
Rum, maybe.
That's probably it. Your voice is starting to go, so I'm encouraging you to step up to the mic a little bit more.
Oh, bless you, Billy. I mean, I'm trying to keep that professional. Even
after dropping F-bombs, I get it.
I know that.
My mom's going to listen to this episode.
I know, and that one slipped out. But and she can chastise me for it, and I will accept it readily.
Well, you should, because y'all ganged up on me about 20 minutes ago. So.
Well, we did, and you deserved it.
See, you guys can save each other. Like, I don't have anybody to save me.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, and that's why I respect, what he does, is because it is very difficult, when you don't have anybody else there, and when you're trying to, I did one show, and it was only 35 minutes long by myself, and I listen to a lot of shows here and there with some, where a guy will sit there and go in there 45 minutes to an hour and talk, and it is very, very hard. And even when it's just one other person, it's very, very hard because you have to stay sharp.
Yeah, you can't lose focus.
You can't lose focus.
Yeah.
So when
You can't wander.
So when I've got Simon here, he loves to talk, so I can just sit back,
Thanks,
at times and let him talk. Don likes to talk when I've had him on the show. Kelly likes to talk. Yeah, y'all both, y'all's show was so awesome because my guest co-host on that show was Scott Minix. And Scott, I love you to death. Thank you so much for being there in that show. I had him on with Hermie Sadler and Bill Stanley, Senator Stanley, for the North Wilkesboro episode, and Scott might have said 3 words the entire time. When I got him in there with y'all, he talked the entire time. He made it so much easier for me. It's really hard. It's really hard to keep it going if you only got one person in the room or 2 people in the room. So, for what Greg does here, it's I really respect the hell out of it, and I like the fact that when he talks, it's his stories, and I know he said that people think it's a biking and running episode or a show. And of course, that's a lot of the people he has on there. But you have to understand, people like that are disciplined, they're dedicated, and they've all got really good stories of why they are that nature. It's really tough to bring on somebody onto a show that's just lazy. Because what are you going to talk about? Like, oh, well, I woke up this morning and, I watched the news and then I went out back and drank a couple beers, and I came back in and you
had a bag of chips.
Exactly. You have to find people that are motivated. People don't want to hear stories about people that are lazy as shit. I'm sorry. People want to hear stories about people that are motivated because they have the best stories to tell. And Greg,
I think you picking people actually that you haven't met is a really ballsy move, because to a certain extent, we can select. I mean, Chris is just a prime example of a fantastic guy in front of a mic as a farmer.
How did that happen? He is natural.
Oh, absolutely.
We should almost bring him as like a guest co-host every. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like he should be like a co-host that comes on more often because he is intuitive and he loves the mic. How that happened for a dairy farmer who grew up in a German Baptist church. Amos is the same way. You know what I mean? Like
and you're taking on something you've got no idea how it's going to roll, and that can be a disaster. It could be someone can just clam up and just go, well, yes, no, well, only on Tuesdays.
We had one.
Maybe, So you're exposing yourself with winging it with a guy that you've never met. You've got no idea what's going on. At least we're a little bit selective, I think, to a certain degree, with the guests that we're inviting on the show. We know it's going to be we're motivated to speak to them. You're going in blindfold. Now that takes kahunas.
Well, the key for me was getting the other people out of the room, which can be a dangerous move. But for me, based on what I wanted from the podcast, I have people come in, and you don't always hear it. A lot of times you do hear it. We get a lot of. I can pull out a ton of emotion out of people, and a lot of tears are falling in that room. Not much in the last few, but we've had several people were just, you could look around the room if people were witnessing it and not saying anything. We had 5 people crying at one time.
Wow, that's tough.
In one, you just see the tears rolling out, and that's what I'm kind of going for, is that truly authentic, organic, feel. And I have a lot of people who come in. I've had dudes, they're my buddies, and they're like, I have nothing to talk about. There's nothing interesting about me, and that's the guy that will talk for 3+ hours and do all the crying, and you get to the end, and we'll start at 6:30. We might end at 9:30.
It's like a psychological dissection.
Well, the thing is, as soon as you turn that button off, the first thing that happens is they say, "Oh, I forgot a ton of stuff I was going to say," and then
which is great though, because then you bring it back on for another show.
Yeah,
that's what I love about it.
But then second, if we quit at 9:30 at night, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter. They don't leave my house until 12:30 because we sit there and talk, and they stay forever because it's a pretty moving experience to lay your life out.
It's very personal, absolutely.
Because nobody else is going to ask you to do that, and somebody just asked you to give yourself in a way that you didn't really know that you could do. And I think that's where my magic is, and that's what I like. So,
well, I think that's such a huge part of it, and that's why I'm so glad that Don and Kelly showed up tonight, because this is Don. I don't know if you met them yet, but Don and Kelly, they were on my show for the Beyond the Dark Paranormal podcast. They're ghost hunters and stuff. I hit up Don this week and said, hey, man, if y'all want to come up here, we're going to be hanging out or whatever. He said, I think we're going to come up here. And I wanted them to jump on here because, we did the show with them. They were so personable. They like talking. They enjoy it. I would bring in Don more often if he lived a whole lot closer, just to come in and sit around and throw in his 2 cents because, he's a lot like us.
And he likes to throw his 2 cents in. So there's that.
That's all I can say is I've seen a lady walk by carrying a goat.
I'm surprised my dog didn't jump up barking.
But it is, you know what I mean? Like so many people you meet, like how I came in contact with him. I started the show, I started the Instagram page. I'm going here and there, and I start following everybody locally that I can. Started following his because I knew they were in Bedford. Got to talking a little bit. I said, man, that'd be a phenomenal show. Talk about ghosts, stuff like this. And we become buddies because of that. You know what I mean? Like it's so much more than just the show. It's about building relationships. It's about supporting the people that are local to you. It's about supporting people that you see a lot of good in. And I'm kind of curious, how do you select your guests? What's the process you go through? Is there anything special that you do? Do you go down the line and decide? I mean, how does that work for you?
I've got 1 or 2 people who are big time on referrals, and they've got some big names in the athletic community. Some really big names that even though they're not famous, were recruited to me. So they roll in my house. I've never spoken to the person ever. So it's a risk, and they walk in. Other times I'll hand select people that I like and that I know will be a good story and be a good guest. And I'll just ask them. I've had some turn downs. I've had some really phenomenal people turn me down, and I'm like, I don't understand how you could, but okay.
Yeah. We go through the same thing.
Yeah. And which is, it's the people that you think are coming are the ones that don't. And then I can have a total surprise come in, not know much at all about the person, and home run. Like they just knock it out of the park. So I don't know. I probably have about 10 lined up that I could just pick up the phone and do them. It's just a matter of setting the time aside. I just bought a business.
It's hard to find that time, though.
Well, I just bought a business a few months back, and a lot of life and a lot of activities going on. I still like to have some fun outside of work too. So.
What business is that? Do you want to promote it while you're sitting here?
Yeah. Which I've been working in an Erie insurance agency which was 12 years. And finally, after 12 years, I bought the agency. It's in Martinsville, but of course I do business everywhere. I renamed it. I said, if I ever get this opportunity, I'm going to blast my name all over the front. So I named it plainly Greg James Insurance, and I've got a cool logo.
That's easy.
Great staff, and
you got to do it.
Congratulations.
That's called name awareness.
I carry insurance. Erie's my carry. That's who I carry. So
yeah, good. Yeah,
on.
They're phenomenal. They're absolutely the best, and I don't say that just because I sell it. They really are the best. So I've had a good time over the last. It'll be 7 months coming up in a few days, and it's been a really fantastic, stressful, busy experience. I feel like we're pretty successful on the start.
So for Erie, God, I can't remember his last name. Did you ever come across Ed? I can't remember his last name. That might have been before your time at Erie, but his name was Ed. Marty Anderson is Erie Insurance too, correct? Yeah, I know Marty real well. My best friend, that's his uncle.
Yeah. Here, you can check out our logo there.
Let's see. The GJI. Man, that's cool. I like the mountains. I like the mountains on it right here. But yeah, I know Ed. God, I wish I remember his last name. But my uncle was affiliated with Erie, Tommy Riddle. I think he's Farm Bureau now, but he was with Erie for the longest time. And Ed was like kind of his mentor. And I think Marty had some dealings with him before, but Ed was so much older and he got out of the game. But it's hard. It's hard to juggle quite a few things. So for me, juggling my job and juggling, a couple kids under the age of 4 and juggling at a wife that cuts her eyes at me, at least 7 times a day. It's difficult, but you make it happen. And I really enjoy, what you do. And I enjoy that you're also doing the same thing we are. And we got to work together. So many people come up to me like, man, I really wanted to start a podcast. And then you started doing it and you kind of took our idea. I'm like, no, I say you can do your own thing. Like competition for one is great, and the more local podcasters you get, the less people are going to be paying attention to corporate media. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be just just what we do. You know what me and Simon doing here. Like we kind of bring the stories to you that at times at the Runic Times and the Franklin News Post and WGB7 aren't going to bring to you. But Greg also brings to you the stories that they're not going to show, the stories that Discovery Channel is not going to tell you. Like we can all work together through this kind of stuff. You know, the more we have, the better. So I encourage like y'all two. I encourage y'all two to get a show going because, there might be, a ton of ghost hunter podcasts out there, but you find your own niche and you find your own people that are going to help support you and you can make it work. That's all you need. You need a good foundation. You need good people around you. And I think that's what we've had here tonight. Every single person who's come in here.
We got very lucky with that, I feel.
We got a little bit lucky, but
we filled a void.
But when you say we got lucky, you're also being disingenuous to yourself as well. Because I think that based off of what you've done in your life and based off how you've been and the people that you've interacted with and the people that have looked up to you and the people that have appreciated what you've done and the love that you've shown to them is why people tune in. It's why people want to listen to what you got to say because they believe in you. And they say, well, if you're going to bring somebody on here, I want to listen to what they have to say as well because they're interesting. Like you said, it's not about the exercise. It's not about the running and the biking because God knows I can never do none of that stuff. Not because I can't, because I don't want to. But those people are so interesting because they can go do that. I remember you were talking on the Josh Grice episode, you sorry sack of a musician.
Man, you're so ruthless on poor Josh.
I'm sorry, but he's in my fantasy football league, and I can't stand.
Oh yeah, you got to get him.
I can't stand the fact that he's a 2-time champion when he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But you have Joshua, and y'all talking about biking. Like y'all bike like 50. What was it y'all biked? It was maybe from like Franklin County, like Rocky Mountain to the lake and back, or whatever it was. What was that whole deal?
Oh, we've done a lot of long bike rides. Probably the best one. We started over in Salem at Parkway Brewery.
That's what it was.
And
that's what it was.
We made a loop. We drove up to Lane Stadium and then back on bicycles. So we just made like a loop through Blacksburg Road and Newport Road, maybe.
What road did y'all go?
Newport, I think. No. Well.
You go through Ironto and go up that way?
Well, yeah.
Because that is a tough. I'm going to say and a tractor trailer going up that mountain is a pain in the hind end. If I had to pedal up there, I would just quit.
I'm just going to say, I don't even like driving up that far.
well, you go 311 and you take a left. I forget the name of that.
Catawba.
Yeah, but you only go up about 3 miles. You take a left. There's the elementary school there. You go to Blacksburg that way, but you come back on Blacksburg Road.
Okay.
So then you go up the back side of McAfee, and then you come down the front side of McAfee. And that day, Josh and I'll probably never do this again. I don't know. We were excited, and we were drafting back and forth and kept passing each other going down, not hitting the brakes. And we looked in our top speed on our watches, and I think we were 54 miles per hour.
Y'all were nuts.
Good Lord.
And we were swapping position back and forth at 50-some miles per hour that day. So it was...
I can't imagine a bicycle at 50 miles an hour. It's got to be shaking like a silk.
No. Smooth as silk.
No kidding.
Yeah. And they draft like race cars draft, except you don't have to be going that fast. But if you're going 50 miles per hour, you suck up to the person so quickly that you have to pass them. You can't even drag the brake and make it work out. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that just exercise just... It sounds just so tiring.
You're not old enough yet. It takes a while. You have to wait until you get to that point that you're like, I got to do something. And then once you do it, you're addicted.
How old do you think I am?
I started at 38.
Okay.
That's when I went out and ran my first mile at 38, and I'm 47 now. And I just ran last week. I ran my last ultra marathon. Well, I ran a 50 miler, but in that short amount of time, I've done 48 marathons and ultra marathons, which ultra is anything above a marathon. Just in that short amount of time, and I'm not good at it. I don't say I'm good at it. I just like it. I just love it.
Well, as somebody that was a professional runner at some point in time, and I say professional loosely because I was paid to do it by the United States government and the military, I absolutely hate it. I hate because I wish, I like exercise when it's a sport involved. Like I can go out there and play basketball and enjoy it, but it really takes a lot of dedication to go out there and actually run because It just sucks.
I mean, I did it as a rugby player,
Yeah.
and you had to do that amount of training to be effective on the pitch. You know, you can throw all of that athleticism in there. Then it was rugby training twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday. We'd be in the gym on a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday. We played the game on a Saturday. And Sunday was an off day. And you couldn't bloody move.
Yeah.
You know, but it was, you know, it was top level rugby. And you couldn't play the game without being match fit. And but when I say match fit, you can take the hit. Right? So you're getting beaten up every week on that Saturday. But if you weren't match fit, those knocks and those hits, you couldn't sustain them. So to be fit was one thing, to be match fit was the other. And that took some bashes. You know, and I feel it now, and I don't have any grudges against it at all. I loved it.
Oh, I feel my life every day.
With me, if you see me running, you better start running with me because there's a reason. I'm just.
Well, Tracy is back here fighting my hound dog, and
he's a very well behaved hound dog. By the way.
He is. You can hear him on my podcast a lot, which I wish not, and you could probably hear him on this one during. But yeah, we got to get him home. He's actually coaching a girls thing tomorrow, and that's their Super Bowl of running tomorrow for the girls.
He's a magnificent looking hound.
Well, thank you very much, Tracy, for allowing him to come on here, because I know a lot of people have had their issues with staying on here, because at times we tend to go on longer than we anticipate.
We know.
No, I wish I had more time. We'll do it. We'll do it again when I can.
We've got a swap cast in the future. I have been, like Greg has been, like I said, I've got a top 5 of people I've been wanting to get on the show, and he has been in that top 5 for so long. I've been trying to make it to where Josh Grace can come on that show too, so we can double team on him. But now we got Simon, we can triple team on Josh Grace.
Well, no, we'll just kidnap him.
Well,
I've got duct tape.
Well, it's not the kidnapping part of it. I just want to run him into the ground personally, because like I've said on the show many a times, Josh Grace is somebody that, to his face, I'm going to talk so much crap about, but behind his back, I'm going to be the biggest supporter in the world, because in the day, he really is a great guy.
He refused to come in, by the way. He walked past.
He came in for a second.
Did he?
You missed it. Yeah, he came in for a second. He tried.
Dirty coward.
He tried to nut punch me, and I blocked it. And then he went on about his business. So many people passed by here tonight. So
yeah, we've had a lot of adventures together.
We have, and well, y'all have. Yeah. So we'll make that happen. So Greg, thank you so much for joining us. GJBeat Podcast. You can find them on Facebook. Go listen to them. It's another Franklin County show that you can appreciate, that you can listen, and it's telling some local stories that you're not going to get anywhere else. So, Greg, here in the very near future, we're going to get you on here for a swap cast. Now that you and Simon have got together, he'll push the shit out of me to make it work.
Sure.
So.
Well, glad I popped my head in.
No, thank you so much.
I was looking around coming in to make sure there weren't any Dale Earnhardt Jr. employees or anything like that.
Oh, no,
They could have been. They could have been.
Because last time I sat down, what was his name?
Matt Dillner. Matthew Dillner. Yeah.
Dillner.
He's the producer of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast.
Yeah, I knew that. So I was looking for Dale Jr. I didn't see him, so I stepped in. But
soon enough. We'll get him on soon enough. So
thank you,
Tracy,
guys.
thank y'all so
We'll
much.
See you soon.
And your insurance company, real quick, one more time.
It's Greg James Insurance.
Greg James Insurance.
GJI is how it's listed there on the sign. So, yeah. So thanks a bunch.
Take care.
See
Thank
you
so much.
See you soon.
All righty. So we've managed to kind of keep it going here lately without stopping, because we've had people fluently come in and out of here, and we're going to probably go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah, we've shut this thing down.
Because we've shut down the entire. But I wanted to do this. I'm so happy we decided to do it.
What a great event!
It
was a great event.
So many people stop by here and wave. So many people come in here and pique their interest. We had so many different guests. Kelly and Don, thank y'all so much for coming up here tonight. I love y'all to death. Like, I look at y'all as friends. You know, haven't known each other very long.
It's great to meet you.
The same.
Yeah,
Nice
I haven't
meeting you.
known y'all very long, but I look at y'all as friends now. I enjoy talking to Don back and forth. You know, we're constantly text messaging and talking shit and having a good time about what's going on in the racing world or what's going on in politics and stuff like that. And, you know, I hope to get you up here, you know, a little bit more often and stuff, just jump in on shows. Doesn't have to be, you know, talking about ghosts or anything like that, just because you have a very unique and great perspective on things. Well, I should say your wife has a great unique perspective on things that she allows you to have those great and unique
Yeah,
perspectives.
because right now I got to, I told her I thought this was going to be the parade tonight.
The parade's on Sunday.
That's on Sunday.
Yeah, I just found that out like
How
a few hours
confusing
ago.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So,
well, because in the ads they had like it's some kind of parade. It's not like an official one, but they have like a light parade or whatever they call it. So yeah, I
Okay,
can
see, so I was partially right.
I can see where the confusion.
Yeah, well,
would-
either way, she turned down a wreath making. What were you doing?
Yeah, me and my girls at work, we get together every month and we just have a girls' night, have some fun, have some drinks.
Uh-oh.
Do
We
some
buggered that
stuff.
up, didn't we?
Yeah, no, I did that. So
thank
yeah,
you.
yep.
Thank you.
how did you
Single-handedly
manage?
he did.
How did you manage?
Because I just told her it was a parade, and you invited us over, and she was like, okay, and
Okay, right
Okay.
here. I'm looking at the Come Home to Christmas
There you go.
post right now. Friday, December 2nd, 5:30 to 9, downtown Rocky Mount. Biggest little parade. It actually is. So he wasn't really lying. Says the North Pole music, dance performances, all that kind of stuff. Great vendors out here. And look, we didn't get a chance to walk around and meet with a lot of the vendors and kind of sample what they got. But I know we did a little bit last year. And these are people down here that count on your support. They count on your money. And the more you support them, the more you're supporting local. Like we said in the last show with the farmers, keep the money here. It doesn't have to necessarily be right here in Franklin County. Keep it here in Franklin County. If you got to, keep it in Bedford. Keep it in Pennsylvania. I mean, keep it here as local as you possibly can because we're all connected.
well,
You know what I mean?
I've been saying for the longest time, Bedford City Council, they need to come over and take some lessons just on how the community supports the community.
It's not because we have a lot of support from our
exactly.
government agencies.
That's right.
It's because we have citizens here that are willing to step up and accept the
Exactly.
role. You know what I mean? Like but a lot of hope for the future for our town council at least, and our mayoral candidate Holland Purdue. Congratulations for that.
Yeah. So
it's the community support.
Yeah, so we have the Center Fest over there every year, but so far as Christmas, we're known as a Christmas capital of the U.S. We have some nice light displays. We got the old Elks Home, which is now a nursing facility, a nursing home, and it's but something like this right here tonight. This has been awesome. Just to see all the vendors.
Bedford doesn't do
and-
anything like this.
No, they'll do carriage rides and stuff like that. Which it's each town to their own, but that's why we keep coming back over to Rocky Mount because we have friends in y'all. We have friends over at Twin Creeks. We have of course it was funny seeing Robynn and them here tonight. I knew they were going to be here, and it's great seeing Robynn and Karen and all that bunch. And so it was. I don't know. Maybe she'll forgive me a little bit. I'll stop and get.
I
us
knew
a little
Robyn was going to be here tonight. I was talking to Leah back and forth. They said B9 and I was going to be down here. I said, if you can make your way over, you and Robyn come over. I'm tickled to death she brought Henry Lee over here too because that was a phenomenal.
And I hope
segment.
Henry calls us. I want to go see that cabin.
I'm gonna bug the hell out of him to make.
We're
sure
going to make that
takes
happen.
place.
Yeah, you just want to go on a ghost hunt. don't
That's
you?
exactly what I want to do. That's exactly what I do. I want to feel. I want to go head to head against a spirit. I want to see who's got the bigger balls. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my thing. But
I want to hear you scream like a girl.
Good luck.
Well, I'm going to show you this while I got you on while we're still on the mic. Look to the left of the picture.
Holy hell! You see that, Simon? To the left. Wow. And where is this taken at?
My home.
That is an apparition standing over top of his bed. The pixels are down, but oh my gosh, you can tell that is there.
Yep.
And real quick before we get off, I really hope that you two start a show, and it doesn't have to necessarily be about 100% ghost hunting stuff because, like you said, there's 1,000 shows out there that do that. But y'all can incorporate that into maybe making Bedford a better town because at the end of the day, Bedford should be one of the most celebrated towns in the country because about 70 or 80 years ago, some of the most badass people in this country went over and they were the first to storm the beaches of Normandy. And they took the biggest losses of any town.
119, the Bedford boys.
The Bedford boys.
My brother was a part of that unit at some point in time. There's a lot of tradition there. And I don't want to compare us to the Bedford boys, but beyond the Bedford boys, the guys I went overseas with at 1032nd, we were, about a third Rocky Mountain, 2/3 Southwest Virginia, Appalachia. We are behind the Bedford Boys, we were probably the most infamous or famous military unit in Appalachia behind them. So I want their stories to continue to go. I want people to understand what those people sacrificed, what they did on that day.
Everything.
I can't even imagine. I would go back to Iraq 5 times over before I'd want to spend one day in those boots of those people from Bedford. And that's one thing I like about that town. Every time I go through there, every single light pole has a picture of one of the soldiers that they lost. And you find that everywhere, and there's so much potential there. And I really hope that y'all somehow find a way to harness that potential and do what y'all got to do to bring Bedford to where y'all think Rocky Mount is right now.
Yeah. Well,
You know
I'm
what I
going to tell you, Bedford is extremely blessed to have the D-Day Memorial. I mean, I've watched that thing being built from the time they broke ground to where it is now. It's
very humbling.
Yes, it is.
So.
It's very.
I have admittedly never been to the. I mean, I've seen pictures of it 20 times. I've been past it 1,000 times. I need to make my way out there.
Come on up, man. We'll go up and check it out.
I need to find a way to do it and bring Simon there and show him, how we saved their asses in WW2 as well, and he can appreciate it. He can.
I know the listeners can't read my lips.
It was silent.
It was silent.
It was silent.
So, we're going to get off here now, but
I'm just kind of distressed. I haven't heard Wanker come out the first time.
No, you've heard. I've said it. I've said it. You just didn't hear it, but I've said it.
I set the trend.
I said it. He hasn't said it, though,
Yeah,
which
that's
we
right.
need. We need him to say it. But before we get off here, I want to go down through and thank everybody that's come on the show tonight. So help me out here, Simon.
Oh, goodness me. There are so many.
Thank Taylor Gunter for coming on here and talking about the walk. I wish I could remember the name of it right now, but I'm about a fifth of Crown Royal deep. So thanks, Taylor, for coming on here. Your friend.
That was Jonah Deborde, yep.
Yes. Robynn Jaymes, Henry Lee of Henry Lee Distillery. Henry Lee. God, forgive me, Henry. Moonshine, Henry Lee Moonshine. We had my mother come on the show. We had Chris Montgomery. Thank you, Chris. We had Greg James. Thank you, Greg.
Did you say Robynn?
Yeah, we did say Robynn. She
Okay.
was here with Henry Lee. We also had Sheryl. Thank you for coming on here and talking.
Charles.
Charles Foster. Yeah, thank you, Charles, for coming on here. The entire community, for everybody that come by here and said hello. If you didn't come on here, if you didn't, I know we really wanted to get Philip Bain and we wanted to get Brian from the Rocky Mount Burger Company down here. Thank them so much for all their support. Even though they didn't get to come on here tonight, you can go back and listen to their shows, kind of see where they stand.
Yeah, because we still want to get with Brian about maybe investigating the early end.
You might have a couple of weeks because I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we've been-
That place might be up for sale. I don't know if it is or not. But either way, maybe if there is new owners or something like that, if that ends up going down, then go there and talk to them as well. because-
I'm sure we'll be able to open the door.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But there's so much opportunity here, so many people to thank. And for anybody out there that wants to listen to our subscriber page, go to patreon.com/getontap. I know Don here is a contributor. Thank you so much. He's one of our top contributors as well. I know it's only $3. He gives more. Thank you to everybody else who's given more. The next show we have, I'm going to sit there and name off every single one of you all. We wanted to do it tonight, but we've kind of cut on time. Right now, we've been here going on 3 hours now of recording. It was a great show the other night. We brought on Smokey the Appalachistanny.
Yes, we did.
Go back and listen to that show. It was our State of Appalachia episode, Brandon. That is so much fun. It's fun to sit there and do the subscriber stuff and to thank each and every one of you who support us, financially, or if you're not financially, just for listening, for sharing it, for liking us. We truly appreciate this. This has been a phenomenal evening. I'm so glad we had everybody show up that did. And I'm so glad that Leah too. Leah, she was also on here. She has warrants, so we weren't allowed to let her talk so very much. But she was also one of the ones on here.
Say bloody well done, Rocky Mount.
It was. Thank you
Well
all
done,
so
Rocky
much.
Mount.
Yeah, thank you for coming out here tonight. And I don't know what our next episode is going to bring, but it's going to be a good one. So stay tuned, Simon.
We got it going on.
Yes. Simon,
We'll
thank you all
figure it
so
out.
much.
We'll wing it.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you having us on.
No, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
And we're going to get y'all on here again soon enough because maybe we can go up to Simon's cabin and do a little seance or something like that too and find out. We've got so much coming up in the future. So until the next time, thank you. Oh, yeah, and real quick, I forgot the most important guest I had on here tonight. I cannot believe I did not mention was my mother. Thank you so much to my mother, Rita, for coming on here tonight. I love you so much. Thank you for being my biggest supporter and taking care of me over the years and putting up with my nonsense. Love you to death. All right, everybody, take care.